And at the end of the day, you need to know that, okay, I need to wake up tomorrow and get back to my study table. As long as you're doing that, even if sometimes you don't feel like, you are good to go, trust me, it will happen for you. It's not that big of a deal. 40 minutes of the exam, I used to focus on the easiest maths questions possible. I just used to look at a question and say that ये मुझसे नहीं होने वाला है, 2 minute में आगे बढ़ो. You will find such questions in exam which you will be able to do with a decent amount of practice. And I don't think then CSAT is going to be a problem for you. And honestly, when mains start, even if you're not writing mains, पेपर आ जाता है, 3 घंटे का पेपर वहीं पे लिखो. ऐसे प्रिपेयर करो कि यही मेरा 3 घंटे का पेपर है और मुझे ये देना है. वो टारगेट डेट्स अपने मन में रखो. आई थिंक दिस एग्जाम इज नॉट चेजिंग परफेक्शन. इट्स जस्ट चेजिंग discipline and consistency. As long as you are imperfect but consistently, you'll get through. Thank you for calling me. It's my honor.
So I will start from the very basic first question. How was the day when you saw your name in the PDF? So like, run us through those moments and emotions.
Right. So 22nd April, my day was basically divided into 2 halves. The first half of the day was so anxious, I threw up. And when I saw my name in that PDF, so what I decided was that I'll scroll through the first page, and if I didn't find my name in the first page, I'll search my name in the PDF. So the result came, I scrolled through the first page, and it was not on the first page because rank 1 to rank 54 was on the first page. And just as I was about to search my name, the page scrolled down, and the first name on the second page was mine, rank 55, and I was so relieved. So it was surreal. I don't think any words can capture that moment really, and really happy that I could find my name in the PDF.
It's a dream for a lot of students.
Yeah.
And so happy that you have achieved it. And so let's start with, how did you begin this UPSC preparation? So when was the first thought that came into your mind that, okay, I will go for UPSC civil service now?
So I had this geography teacher in class 10th, and she was the one who first time introduced me to this concept called UPSC, that there's this commission which conducts this exam, and this is what you become if you clear this exam. She introduced me to what an IAS is, or what an IFS, IPS is, and what they do, what's their mandate. And I found it intriguing. I was really intrigued with the whole concept, and I think that is where the first seed came into my mind that, okay, this is what I want to do, or at least I want to try doing this. And then she was the one who convinced my parents as well that let her do this, or let her try for this exam at least. And I think post that, I never really looked back. In fact, all of my decisions after class 10th, right from what subjects I want to choose in class 11th and 12th to my graduation subject, were driven by this thought that, okay, how is this going to help me in my preparation for UPSC? So I think that is when the thought came.
So you started early on and you had a fixed mind कि अभी तो ये करना है.
Thought हमेशा था कि अब यही करना है, but honestly I didn't start my preparation really until I graduated.
Okay. Yes. So now let's go from there. Like once you graduated, now you have started preparation. So how did you manage that? So what were the things you looked, and how did you initiated that preparation part? Because a lot of students struggle about that also.
So in my 6th semester of college, like my final semester, I started looking for coachings, or I was deciding whether I want to take a coaching, whether I want to do self-preparation, whether I want to prepare from Delhi. Like I am from Delhi, but I lived a bit far away, so whether I wanted to move here or prepare from my home. So there were a lot of thoughts and a lot of questions which I had to research and find my answers to. And then I started my coaching, and initially 2-3 months of foundation course were very hard for me really. I was completely lost. Every day I used to go back home and I used to think that, okay, have I made a wrong decision of even preparing for this exam? Am I built for this? And initially when you start your preparation, I started from coaching, and then I was taking foundation coaching, I was taking optional coaching, CSAT coaching. So the classes only in itself were so much to handle that I was just lost completely. I did not know what to do, how to prepare, how much time is it going to take. So those ones were really difficult, I think.
And like you have hit a bullseye when you talk about the stress that is there while in preparation in terms of managing time. I always say this preparation is less about managing knowledge, it is about managing time. So how did you manage that time?
आई थिंक पेशेंस सो सब सोच के यही आते हैं कि 1-2 साल में एग्ज़ाम हो जाएगा और हम निकल जाएंगे इस प्रोसेस से. मैं भी यही सोच कर आई थी कि 1 ही साल में कोचिंग लेंगे, फिर फर्स्ट अटैम्प्ट देंगे, हो ही जाना चाहिए. बट क्लासेस आई बहुत सारा, दिन में 3 क्लासेस चल रही थी, 4 क्लासेस चल रही थी, उनके नोट्स रिवाइज करने थे, ऑप्शनल मैनेज करना था, बहुत कुछ था. तो आई थिंक फर्स्ट ईयर में जब मैं कोचिंग के साथ प्रिपेयर कर रही थी, तो आई थिंक योर फोकस शुड बी just consolidation of material. Attending your classes no matter what, I don't think I missed a lot of classes. And just like when you are in coaching, a schedule is built for you. It's already provided to you and you just need to follow that. I think a lot of people start not attending classes because they think that it's a wastage of time, or they watch it in 1.5x, or they don't give monthly and weekly tests, thinking that okay, this is going to waste a lot of time of mine, I should prepare from some other source. They start running behind sources. So I think I avoided that. I like 2-3 months I realized that this is not a easy game, it's not a short haul cycle. So I think first year I just focused on attending all my classes, giving all my tests, learning about the nature of this exam. I was slowly introducing myself to PYQs as and when the subjects were getting covered. And gradually, I think in a period of 9 to 10 months, I was sure that these are going to be my sources. After that, I stopped running behind sources. I had consolidated my basic notes. I made my own short notes from whatever basic standard books that you need to prepare, for example, Lakshmikant. And in my second year of preparation, like that is my 2024, I just focused on sitting at home, keeping my hands and heads down, and revising what I had gained and consolidated over a period of time.
So the idea is trust the process and have
Definitely.
patience.
Yes.
Like it's not an easy journey, but eventually if you trust the process and you like wait okay, I have to just grill through this, and you will make it, as we can see. So now, like coming to optional, like I will address the optional first before we go in prelims, main and all those, because it's very unique for you.
Yes.
So how many geography students here? Okay, so decent number of geography students are there. So tell us about why you chose geography, like, or why you chose civil service after geography.
Yeah. So again, I'll go back to my class 10th. My geography teacher, she made me fall in love with the subject. Like when I started reading higher level textbooks for geography, I was so sure that this is something I want to study, irrespective of whether I come into UPSC or not. And then I went to college. I chose graduation subject also as geography. I enjoyed that period extremely well. I was very happy with my subject. And I think before anything else, I knew that my optional is going to be geography. I did not know how to prepare for this exam. I did not know where to join coaching, what to do, how to get introduced to UPSC. I just knew that my optional is going to be geography, and I made calculated decisions for it even during 11th and 12th and my college as well. So geography पक्का था कि यही करना है.
Okay, and we will come to it कि उसको कैसे करना है later on. Okay, any questions you have till now related to how you should start preparation and all that? Yes, please.
Hello. First of all, congratulations to ma'am.
Thank you so much.
I have a question like how to overcome from distractions and how to be fulfilled with discipline in during study or preparation. Thank you, ma'am.
सी मैं एक चीज़ बोलूँगी, यूपीएससी उतना टफ नहीं है जितना नैरेटिव ने बनाया है. आई डोंट थिंक द सब्जेक्ट और द सिलेबस इज टफ. आई थिंक व्हाट इज टफ इज डिसिप्लिन एंड कंसिस्टेंसी. एज आई सेड दैट इट्स नॉट अ शॉर्ट हॉल गेम, इट्स अ लॉन्ग हॉल गेम, इट्स अ स्लो बर्न. और अगर आप डिसिप्लिन्ड 1 साल के लिए अगर हो जाओ, तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि ये एग्ज़ाम बहुत डिफिकल्ट है क्लियर करना. एंड आप कैसे डिसिप्लिन रहना एंड हाउ टू अवॉइड, सॉरी एम आई यूजिंग टू मच हिंदी?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So, I think how to avoid distractions is that first the obvious. You need to cut out, you firstly need to identify what is distracting you. I think for me, what was the most distracting factor was internal. That is my fear of failure. Kabhi kabhi what happens is that we are so fixated on our fear of failure that our mind is not silent, and then other things become, we fixate on those things and हमको लगता है कि वो distraction है. For example, social media. So we find that, okay, social media is the distraction, but actually social media is the effect of that distraction, because the distraction is that I'm not able to focus on what I'm studying because I'm so fearful that I'm not going to understand what it is, or I'm not going to clear this exam. So firstly, you need to tell your mind that irrespective of this exam's result, I need to sit down today and make this day productive. रिजल्ट के मतलब मेरा ऐसा था दैट अगर मैं एक दिन में बैठकर एक साल के बारे में भी सोच लेती थी तो मैं नहीं पढ़ पाती थी, पर मैं अगर उसी दिन के बारे में सोचती थी कि आज मुझे बस ये 2 ही टॉपिक्स ख़त्म करने हैं, तो मैं शांति से बैठ के उन 2 टॉपिक्स को पढ़ लेती थी और मेरा डे प्रोडक्टिव हो जाता था. एंड उसके अलावा आई फील लाइक यू नीड टू कट डाउन ऑन द पीपल इंटरेक्शन. आई रियली बिलीव दैट इफ़ यू आर इन अ वेरी बिग सर्कल, or if you're in a lot of social interaction is happening, somewhere your mind space gets disturbed, your routine gets disturbed, and then to overcome that resistance one time is difficult, and if you have so many resistances to overcome, you'll not be able to sit and study quietly. So I think 2-3 साल के लिए you need to shut down all the noise, whether it's internal or external, और आराम से बैठ के पढ़ो, बस हो जाएगा अपने आप.
Any more question? One more question we can take. Yeah, please.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
My name is Abhishek.
Can you please stand up? I cannot see you. Yeah.
Ma'am, my question is that are these foundational batches helpful in the later stages of exam? Like how precisely are they helpful or impactful?
So everyone keeps saying that you need to familiarize yourself with the syllabus before preparing for this exam. I think for me, foundation helped me understand what the syllabus is. And over time, what happened is that my basic class notes, which I made during my foundation batch, became my template. It became what I had to study. And these are the boundaries of my study. For example, economy है, तो उसमें जो भी मेरे register में topics हैं, for example, monetary policy, fiscal policy, labor, infrastructure, I knew that this is a part of my syllabus. And post that, जब भी मैं रिविजन करती हूँ, जब भी whenever I start a revision for any subject, I first pick up my class notes or my basic foundation notes, because as the name suggests, it is your foundation. Especially coming from a technical background, if you are coming from a technical background, a lot of the subjects are humanities oriented. So if foundation is not strong, then conceptual clarity will always be weak, and no matter how much you run after new content or value addition, if your basics are not strong, I don't think it will even help you clear prelims. So for me, foundation was my building block, and on my foundation, I built whatever I built to finally clear this exam.
Also these prelims oriented specifically, and also mains
we
oriented.
will talk about prelims and mains, so we can go in stages. Okay, so if your doubt is related to prelims and mains, as we go we can carry on. Otherwise
My question is the follow up of the first one.
Okay,
Can I ask?
yeah, please go on.
Ma'am, so these prelims oriented specifically and also mains oriented classes, are they necessary, or like how different are they from the foundational classes?
So what exactly do you mean by prelims oriented? Like current affairs?
No. Like in prelims oriented classes, they will teach us only the prelim specific topics, and in mains like GS1, GS2, GS3, like this.
See, I'll tell you both things. Prelims and mains is not different. What I realized that if you have studied for prelims well enough, that becomes your content for mains, especially for subjects like history and geography. So it's not like that prelims and mains is a watertight compartment. There's no differentiation in that, but there are certain aspects of the exam which are peculiar to prelims and mains. For example, in prelims, aptitude building is very important, and it means answer writing becomes very important. So if the classes are in line with the nature specific to that exam, then I think it's worth it. But I don't see a very watertight differentiation in the content especially. It's just that how you present that content or how you use that content is different in both the exams. But what you study for prelims is what you write in mains. So,
Thank you.
Okay, then I'll move on to prelims
Yeah, sure,
itself.
sure.
Right. So tell us your prelims experience. How did you approach it, and what do you think worked for you for prelims? Because like you have given 23, 24, and like this is an era of uncertain prelims. So how did you crack it?
So as I said, I am from a non-technical background. I have not given MCQ type exams in my life as technical background people do. And so 2023, I gave my first prelims and that didn't happen for me. And there were two reasons why it didn't happen for me. Firstly, I was not strong with my static. And secondly, I did not have the aptitude for prelims. So I realized these two things and then I worked on it. So entire 2024, I made my short notes from my class notes or from maybe, if example, I'm reading Lakshmikant, then I made my short notes because what I realized is that prelims will only happen if you have revised your static very nicely. A lot of your knowledge base, it will help you in elimination of options. It will help you with your intuition because intuition cannot be baseless. Somewhere something you have read and that is how you have an intuition that, okay, I can go with this option. So that is non-negotiable. I don't think that any tricks or tips is going to work without revising your static very thoroughly, that it should be on your fingertips. And secondly, aptitude, what I mean by is that I realized that, okay, 4 options are given to me in prelims. There can be 4 possibilities. One, I don't know either of the options. I don't know what the question is talking about. I'm just completely unaware of it. Second is I know 3, I know 2 options, and I'm sure about the answer. So then I devised a trick for myself that if I can reach 50-50, I'm never going to leave that question. I am going to attempt that question because there's a strong probability that I might get it correct. Then I used to do the paper in 2 rounds. So first round, I used to mark all the questions that I'm sure about. It never exceeded 20 or 25 questions. And I used to eliminate options. Like for example, if 3 statements are given to me and I know one of them definitely, I'll eliminate that. Okay, this is what I know about it. The rest 2 I'll circle. I'll come back to in second round. And I used to figure out which 50-50 questions are there. So in the second round, I had to pick 50-50 through my knowledge base, through my intuitions, whatever worked for me. And depending on the number of questions that I had to attempt, I always had a target for at least attempting 90 plus questions, irrespective of the difficulty level of the paper. And then I used to take a shot at the 3 out of 1 probability that, okay, I know maybe something I can use and I can try to figure out the answer. And third most important thing in prelims is PYQs. I don't think you can clear prelims without having a strong grip on PYQs. You need to practice it at least 4-5 times, as many times as you can. Go back 5-7-10 years if possible. Because the language of test series papers and the language of the actual paper is different. The commission has certain things in mind when it is framing a question. Whatever, especially I feel like आधा question solve होता है जो उसके ऊपर लिखा होता है उससे, option से नहीं. For example, if I have to give an example, 2023, there was this question about invasive species specialist group. And they had asked which organization publishes this report. And in the bracket of that root of the question was written that it is a database. And somewhere I knew that IUCN prepares database. So I took a guess at IUCN and it was correct. So वो पढ़ना बहुत important है और वो आता है PYQ practice से कि why is that information written? What is the intention behind it? You need to get into the examiner's mindset and that can only happen over a period of time. It will not come overnight. So I worked on these 2 things and I think finally it worked in 2024.
Definitely. So we will take few questions for prelims. If you have any questions related to prelims. Yes.
Hi ma'am, congratulations.
Thank you.
Please stand up if like when you are asking, na, it will be helpful. दिखता नहीं है.
Ma'am, first thing I want to ask is, did newspaper help you? And if yes, then which one helped you, Hindu or Indian Express? And second thing is, how you manage your time, as you told कि बहुत सारी classes हो जाती थी. तो how you manage, मतलब I am at initial stage of my coaching. So what should be the time schedule to manage things so that I can clear it in my first attempt?
Okay, so coming to your first question about the newspaper, I never really saw newspaper as a part of my preparation. It was a non-negotiable for me irrespective. It was my source of leisure, to be very honest. I used to start my day non-negotiably with the newspaper. I used to read Indian Express. And my evening session, I used to begin with reading some form of daily current affairs, like the PDFs that are available to you. So I never missed that. Even like maybe one day before prelims, I was still reading the DCA. And same with mains. So newspaper is not just for current affairs. I think it has multiple benefits. Firstly, you get aware about a lot of things and you see what you're reading in your class notes or register happen in the newspapers in some way or the other. For example, if you're reading about monetary policy and next day you read an article that RBI has cut the repo rate, so you know the practical implication of it. आप concept से बाहर निकल के उसके application, उसके understanding को समझते हो, which I think has become increasingly important in prelims because it's very application oriented. You need to understand the causes and effects, which I feel is really well summarized in newspapers. Secondly, newspaper will really help you with CSAT because I used to stick with art reading comprehensions because they were my forte. So it helps in understanding complicated languages, helps reduce your reading time. Secondly, it also makes great examples for mains. I don't know, like I used to read Indian Express and Indian Express conducts these digital governance awards in which they also award a lot of public officers. So I used to pick them up as examples, like because they were very relevant. And I used to use them in my mains answers. And I think that really distinguishes your copy from the next one. So I don't think that newspaper is skippable at all. It's not just for this exam. I think in generally to become a better person, I think newspaper is important for your personality. And coming to your next question about time management. See, in my first year, I was again as anxious as you are probably that there are so many classes to cover. How do I study? How do I revise? Do I need to prepare my notes from everything that I'm studying? I was completely lost. I used to cry every second day. Then what I realized is, आज मेरी 3 classes हैं. मुझे वो 3 classes ख़त्म करनी है. मुझे कोई मेरा टेस्ट है कोचिंग में, मुझे वो टेस्ट देना है, उसके मुझे सॉल्यूशंस पढ़ने हैं. And try to do this on that day itself. Especially with classes, I think backlog is really overwhelming. Do not create backlogs. हो जाएगी पढ़ाई बाद में भी, क्लास मत स्किप करो. आपने पैसे दिए यहाँ पे आने के, आपके यहाँ पे इतनी अच्छी फैकल्टी है, they are all well trained, experienced people, they know what they are doing. If you have trusted them, then show that trust. I don't think skipping classes or watching it at 1.5 times, obviously in exceptional cases you can, but don't make it a regular habit. आई थिंक आधी प्रिपरेशन आपकी वहीं पर हो जाएगी बिकॉज आपके कॉन्सेप्ट्स बहुत स्ट्रांग हो जाएंगे अगर आपने क्लासेस रेगुलरली अटेंड करी है. एंड सी आई रियली विश आपका फर्स्ट अटैम्प्ट में हो जाए बिकॉज देर आर पीपल जिनका होता है फर्स्ट अटैम्प्ट में. बट मुझे थोड़ा पर्सनली मुश्किल लगा था मेरे फर्स्ट अटैम्प्ट में मैनेज करना बिकॉज आपकी बेसिक आंसर राइटिंग वगैरह नहीं हुई होती है. आप उतने मास्टरफुल नहीं हो पाते हो आंसर राइटिंग में और आगे की चीज़ों में. और डरो मत, मतलब होता है लोगों का फर्स्ट अटैम्प्ट में, मेरे बहुत सारे फ्रेंड्स का हुआ है. ट्रस्ट द प्रोसेस, एक एक दिन करके निकालो, अपनी क्लासेस अटेंड करो, उस दिन जो क्लास में पढ़ाया है वो पढ़ने की कोशिश करो, उसको उसी दिन जाकर रिवाइज करने की कोशिश करो. आपकी आधी प्रिपरेशन वैसे ही हो जाएगी. डो नॉट वरी अबाउट इट, लाइक डोंट स्टार्ट चेजिंग नैरेटिव्स. You have come here, you have trusted them, show that trust. I do not suggest that एक ही दिन में आपको सब कुछ करना है. जो आपके लिए mandate है वो करो, you will be good to go.
And that is something very important she has said, that don't run after the narratives ना कि मेरे को इस attempt पे निकालना है, उसमें वो हो जाएगा. If you trust the process, you put in the effort, हो जाएगा. And she is an example of it, right? Now coming back to prelims, so I want you to address 2 questions. Like prelims of 2025 is 1 month away. So what advice you would give to students who will give this year prelims? And second, about CSAT. Now somebody who is not from a technical background, I want your opinion how to prepare for CSAT, specifically those who are not from technical background.
See, 1 month is left for prelims. Exactly 1 month is left. Today is 25th. I'll give you practical tips. आपने पढ़ना होगा, वो आप पढ़ चुके हो, आपको बहुत एडवाइसेस मिले होंगे पढ़ाई के लिए. मैं पढ़ाई के लिए कुछ नहीं बोलूँगी. मैं 2 चीज़ें बोलूँगी. फर्स्ट, अब कोई do not pick up anything new. If you go out in the market, just walk across the Bada Bazaar road, there will be thousands of new current affairs magazines, thousands of places in news, this and that. So much information is there. आपको लगेगा FOMO कि ओके मैंने ये नहीं पढ़ा, मैंने वो नहीं पढ़ा. अब कुछ मत नया पढ़ो. जो पढ़ा है पिछले 10 महीने 12 महीने में जितना, वही पढ़ो, उसको रिवाइज करो अच्छे से. डोंट रन आफ्टर करंट अफेयर्स. करंट अफेयर्स से डायरेक्टली 1-2 सवाल आएंगे. अगर आपसे बनेंगे तो बन जाएंगे, नहीं बनेंगे कोई बात नहीं. आपकी प्रेपरेशन उससे नहीं रुकेगी. आई गारंटी यू दैट. फोकस ऑन योर स्ट्रेंथ्स. किसी का इकोनॉमी स्ट्रांग हो सकता है, किसी का जोग्राफी स्ट्रांग हो सकता है. जैसे मेरा हिस्ट्री स्ट्रांग नहीं था, मुझे 3 साल लगे हिस्ट्री समझ आने में, मुझे अभी भी नहीं आती. तो आई नेवर ran आफ्टर हिस्ट्री टू मच. जितना आई स्टडीड फ्रॉम माई बेसिक नोट्स. इफ द क्वेश्चन कम्स आई विल टेक अ शॉट. नॉट हैपनिंग आई लीव द क्वेश्चन. So focus on your strengths, revise your basic notes. And one very important advice I would like to give from my personal experience is that now try to simulate exam-like conditions as much as possible. What happened with me in 2023 prelims was that you give GS1 paper 1, then there's a 3-hour break. It's the midst of May, it's 45 degrees outside. So when I was giving my CSAT paper in 2023, in my center electricity was not there, so even the fan was not working. It was very hot, your mind is stuck, you're not able to, and from personally for me, CSAT paper 2023 was very difficult. It was tough. I really panicked in the exam because all of the conditions that could go wrong were going wrong for me. So it's very different to sit in your room in an air-conditioned room and practicing papers, and it's completely different in the exam-like situation. So I would really like you to get accustomed with all the negative externalities beforehand. That really helps you to keep your calm during the actual examination, because these things do play a role. Fatigue is very important. I think post paper 1, you're so tired, it's mentally exhausting, it's very hot. Then you have to give CSAT. Sometimes the fan will not work. So you need to be prepared for all of these factors beforehand. And
Like here I will add, like you were also part of Abhyaas. You gave Abhyaas prelims. So was it helpful in, conditioning yourself in this environment?
so I remember that my Abhyaas center came around 1.5 hours away from my home. And I went to give the exam. It was very hot. It was the midst of April, May. It's very hot, and plus the school benches that you get usually as the centers, government school benches, they're so small, you cannot really properly sit also. Sometimes the fan is not working, sometimes the teachers are making noises, it's a lot of noise, a lot of distractions are there. So I think Abhyaas helped me to prepare for whatever could go wrong in my main exam. And then I saw, okay, how am I performing in those conditions? And one test of mine did not go that well for Abhyaas, I think Abhyaas 1. And I understood that it's not just about knowledge, it's also about application of that knowledge in 45 degrees Celsius. So you really get to prepare for that as well through these exams.
Now coming to that CSAT part. So like how did you approach CSAT as a non-technical student, and what worked for you?
So 2023, I was taking CSAT coaching as well, and I prepared from my end whatever I could, but I barely passed CSAT in 2023. And I knew that CSAT is again something that I need to work on, because I just wanted to make sure that CSAT is not a problem for me. I did not want to be a maths topper. I did not have any ego with respect to any question. I just wanted that CSAT should not be my main problem. That CSAT should not be the reason that I'm not clearing prelims. So here I took help from one of my very close friends, rank 192 last year, Mohit Gupta. He is a maths student. He has very strong maths. So he just helped me with maths. And I don't know how much of it is applicable to anyone here, because I don't know if people can find friends like that. But I would really like to credit my CSAT preparation to him. And I think I reached a point where I stopped fearing maths. I think the biggest obstacle for a non-math student is that there's a fear of maths. And if you start fearing certain things, then you also start avoiding practicing it. You find excuses. Okay, I'm too tired today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow with a fresh mind. Because somewhere there's a fear. So I tried to overcome that fear that no matter what, I have to practice CSAT for 2 hours every day. Like it was just a part of my schedule. And I used to sit at it as soon as possible because I know if I think too much about it, then I'll not do it. So I just dived into my 2 hours of CSAT, and I used like worksheets which are available, online resources are available, a lot of resources are available. So I used to practice the basic topics. I used to look at PYQs, what type of questions are coming, how to approach them. And also I think in CSAT the biggest thing is that you do not always have to follow the process. Sometimes a lot of questions you can solve through options also. So you need to have that flexibility in the exam. डू नॉट थिंक ओके नहीं मैं पूरा स्टेप्स लिख कर ही इसको सॉल्व करूंगा. अगर फटाफट ऑप्शन से सॉल्व हो रहा है तो करो. यू जस्ट नीड टू क्लियर इट. यू नीड टू गेट 66 however by hook or by crook. And again, as my maths was not strong, I relied more on RC. So in my first 50 minutes of the exam, I used to complete all the reading comprehensions. I was quick with them. And fortunately, my accuracy was also well in reading comprehensions. Out of 27, I used to get 24 correct, 25 correct. So I focused on RC, then LR. And then in the last 40 minutes of the exam, I used to focus on the easiest maths questions possible. I just used to look at a question and say that ये मुझसे नहीं होने वाला है, 2 minutes में आगे बढ़ो. You will find such questions in the exam which you will be able to do with a decent amount of practice. And I don't think then CSAT is going to be a problem for you. You can clear it. It's not that challenging.
So you talked about for current affairs that you relied on your own newspapers you read, right? And there were PDFs. And so anything specifically with vis-a-vis prelims? Because now there are some people who have not read newspapers. So what should they focus upon when it comes to current affairs? Because one thing you said very rightly, na, that वो एक दो क्वेश्चन आप जो पढ़ोगे वो नहीं आएगा तो भी चलेगा, right? You don't have to hunt for those contents.
Yes.
But if they have to, what they should focus upon right now?
See, I don't think newspaper is going to help you pass prelims for current affairs. I have never made any notes out of newspapers, and I don't think it's possible to make notes, and it's not possible to revise them at all. Newspapers should not be your primary source for prelims-oriented current affairs or mains-oriented current affairs. So for prelims, again, 3-4 months before the exam, you pick up any compilation, consolidation, because see, all the coachings, some good, some bad, have a particularly dedicated team targeted towards that exam. So they are doing the better half of the work for you. You just need to use their work. And I personally use 365 prelims as well as for mains, especially the dynamic subjects in mains like economy and science and tech. I primarily relied on mains 365. And again, but just reading once, I don't think it's going to help. You need to start at least reading it twice or thrice, and then some things start to retain. So I would advise that if you have picked up again one source, read it 2 to 3 times instead of reading 2 or 3 different sources, because that's not going to help in my opinion.
Okay, any questions for prelims? And when I say prelims, please let's keep it to prelims. I know you have a lot of questions to ask. As we go step by step, you can ask them. So any prelim specific questions?
Hello. First of all,
Please,
ma'am, I would like to
Can you
congratulate
please
you.
stand up? Sorry.
And please stand up whenever you are asking question.
Hello, ma'am. First of
Hello.
all, I would like to congratulate you for your huge success.
Thank you.
And my question is, ma'am, that you had any backup also, like preparing for state PCS exams, etc. And were you totally devoted to UPSC? And what would you suggest for being motivated consistently? Because sometimes there is a feeling of left out.
सब अपने लिस्ट प्रिपेयर करके हैं. मैं बोलूँ प्रीलिम्स का पूछो, लेकिन पूछना लिस्ट से ही है. Okay, please.
Yeah. So first question about plan B or backups. I think plan Bs are very important because it relaxes you. It relaxes your mind from that fear of failure, which I talked about earlier. You are able to actually focus on what you're studying and what you have to do. Just a second, I'm answering his question. So I think plan Bs were very important. And for my plan Bs, I had 2 options in mind. I'd applied to some universities abroad for my master's. And secondly, I'd also given the CUET exam for my law or LLB course. So I had those backups. I did not prepare for state services, but I had these 2 backups, and it really relaxed my mind. And then I could actually focus on what I wanted to do because I was free from that fear of failure or free from, okay, what if this does not pan out? So I think, yeah. And the second question was how to stay motivated. It's a very long process. It's a brutal process. It's tiring, it's exhilarating, it's exhausting. It's not humanly possible to stay motivated throughout. In fact, I'll tell you something. Like in a week, there are 7 days. My tempo was not the same for 7 days. On Mondays, I realized my tempo was very high. I used to stretch to 12 hours because it was the beginning of the week. I was energized, very fun. Tuesday, the energy went a bit down. By Friday, I used to study barely, like properly, I used to study only 6 hours, even if I was sitting at my table for like 10 hours. So it's not possible to stay motivated throughout, and honestly, that is not required. You just need to make sure that बहुत ज़्यादा वो phases नहीं आ रहे हैं demotivation वाले, because then there's something fundamentally wrong in your thought process. Maybe you're not exactly sure if you want to do this exam. For me, my why was very clear, and I think once your why is clear, your how, what, where, all of this becomes simplified. But again, having said that, it's not possible to stay motivated 24/7, 365 days, and sometimes, at least for me, it was still a shorter journey of 3 years. For some people, it's 5 years, 6 years. You are humans at the end of the day. You will get tired, you will get demotivated. Plus, there are so many externalities. Mock test अच्छा नहीं हुआ, mentor ने बुरा बोल दिया, answer अच्छा नहीं लिख पाए. There are so many triggers. So all of that is going to happen. That's very genuine. That's very natural, in fact. But again, at the end of the day, you need to know that, okay, I need to wake up tomorrow and get back to my study table. As long as you're doing that, even if sometimes you don't feel like you are good to go, trust me, it will happen for you. It's not that big of a deal, really.
Any prelim specific question? Yes.
Congratulations, ma'am.
I cannot see you. Please stand up.
This side.
Oh, okay.
प्रीलिम से पहले कितने मॉक टेस्ट देने चाहिए? आपने कितने लगाए थे मॉक?
See, I used to give a test every Saturday or every Sunday. I give so many tests. I cannot even recall, honestly. I don't have a number to give you. If I have to put it, I think it was definitely 50 plus. But it was not like I was doing it 1 month before prelims. I was doing it 10 months before prelims. So by the time prelims came, I had given more than 50 plus tests. But I don't think that the number of tests really matters. What matters is that when you go back after giving the test, how are you really utilizing it to your benefit? I used to see how many questions in 50-50 am I getting wrong. I did not worry about questions that I did not know at all. जिसमें मुझे 4 ऑप्शन में एक भी नहीं आता, मैं उनको छोड़ देती थी, नहीं आता मुझे. मैं वो देती थी कि जिनमें मैं कर सकती हूँ सही, वो मैंने कितने गलत किए. Like I used to tally my score, for example, whatever score I am getting, and then I used to tally the questions that I got wrong. That इतने प्रिपरेशन के बाद क्या मुझे ये गलत करना चाहिए था. मैं उसका स्कोर कैलकुलेट करती थी कि क्या वो 10-15 नंबर मैं और ला सकती थी, मे बी थोड़ा और सोच कर, थोड़ी और प्रैक्टिस से. एंड यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन नैरोइंग दैट गैप. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू आर स्कोरिंग लेट्स से 100 इन अ मॉक टेस्ट एंड सपोज यू गॉट 15 questions wrong or whatever, I don't know. Now in those 15 questions, how many questions were there which you could have gotten right, and you calculate that number. For example, 8 marks or 10 marks. That was more important to me than those 100 marks that I was getting. So I used to do that. And second thing is that whenever I attempted any test, I went back home and I read the solutions that day. Because if you don't read it that day itself, then you'll not read it. At least for me, it didn't happen. I did not read the solutions for that test, and that test I did not count that test as a test given. And whatever I read in those tests, I used to add it in my foundation notes or my class notes or whatever notes that I had prepared. And over time, what happened was that my copies grew bulkier because I had done so much value addition from those tests. And then I just did not have to look elsewhere for any other material. Because अब जब 50 टेस्ट दे दोगे, आपने उससे इतना वैल्यू एडिशन कर लिया है, बहुत अनलाइकली है कि अब आपको ऐसी चीज़ें नहीं पता होंगी जो और लोगों को पता होंगी.
Hello ma'am, good afternoon. First of all, many congratulations on your success in this exam.
Thank you.
Ma'am, my question is that how to do revision in a proper and effective way?
It's a good question. Like, what is the best way to revise for prelims or let's say mains also?
I think the answer to this question can vary from person to person. I'll tell you what worked for me. It might not work for someone else. So in 2023, when I was giving my first attempt, I did not make short notes because I didn't know how to make short notes. मैं पढ़ने जाती थी, मैं पूरा पेज ही भर लेती थी, मुझे पता ही नहीं कैसे short notes बनाऊँ इसके में. मैं एक बुक को कंसोलिडेट करने जाती थी, मेरे उसके नोट्स ज़्यादा बन जाते थे. 2024 तक मैंने वो करना सीखा पहले कि शॉर्ट नोट्स कैसे बनते हैं. एंड ऑनेस्टली मेरा जो एग्ज़ाम क्लियर हुआ है वो इसीलिए हुआ है बिकॉज आई वेंट थ्रू माई शॉर्ट नोट्स 10 times, 12 times, 14 times, I don't know how many times, because that is the only way you will actually retain anything to write in the exam, whether prelims or mains. So for me, I think short notes is the best way to revise effectively. And again, those short notes should not be static, they should be dynamic. They should have that flexibility. Whenever you learn anything new, add it into your short notes. You don't have to prepare a consolidated or a comprehensive set of short notes today. Just start by preparing the basic, and over time, jaise you'll give more tests, you'll learn new things, you'll revise it multiple times, you'll retain more things. Keep adding it to your short notes. Keep it dynamic, keep it flexible. And you'll not realize, but in some time you'll have a very comprehensive source at your disposal, and then you just go through it as many times as possible.
Ma'am, how to make short notes?
Okay, so I'll take the example of Lakshmikant here. मैं फाउंड फंडामेंटल राइट्स का चैप्टर अगर पढ़ रही हूँ लक्ष्मीकांत से, इट्स अ 32 पेज चैप्टर. आई थिंक बाय द एंड ऑफ इट यू स्टार्ट मेमोराइजिंग ऑल द पेजेस ऑफ लक्ष्मीकांत. अच्छा यहाँ पे यहाँ लिखा है, ये वो लिखा है. सो इट इज़ अ 32 पेज चैप्टर. वॉट आई डिड वॉज आई मेड 5 पेजेस ऑफ शॉर्ट नोट्स आउट ऑफ इट. 32 को मैंने 5 में रिड्यूस किया. मैंने कैसे रिड्यूस किया? मैंने कुछ भी पढ़ा सपोज उसमें मैंने ये देखा कि यार ये बहुत अच्छी इन्फॉर्मेशन है और मोस्ट लाइकली मैं इन्फॉर्मेशन भूल सकती हूँ, कोई टेक्निकलिटी है, कोई फैक्ट है, मैंने उसका शॉर्ट नोट बनाया. आई नेवर मेड शॉर्ट नोट्स ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट आई अंडरस्टूड रियली, बिकॉज वंस यू अंडरस्टैंड यू डोंट नीड टू मेमोराइज इट अगेन एंड अगेन, यू कैन यूज दैट. I used to write those things which I thought that okay, this is a very good information, this might come in the exam and I'm likely to forget it. I wrote that down, and this is very helpful in chapters like emergency, because there are 3 types of emergencies, there are 3 different processes to apply, there are so many articles involved. सिंपल मेजॉरिटी से हो रहा है, स्पेशल मेजॉरिटी से हो रहा है, 2 महीने में लगेगा, 1 महीने में लगेगा, रेवोकेशन प्रोसेस, वो मुझे समझ नहीं आता था बिकॉज इट्स ऑल फैक्ट्स. सो मैंने उसका फ्लो चार्ट बना लिया. दैट 352 नेशनल एमरजेंसी, प्रोक्लेमेशन ऑफ एमरजेंसी, हाउ टू अप्लाई, हु अप्लाइज, हाउ टू रिवोक, व्हाट हैपन्स, which fundamental rights get suspended, very small notes, and what happened during 42nd amendment, what happened during 44th amendment, and 3 pages में मेरा 14 पेज का चैप्टर आ गया basically, and then I used to go through it again. So that is something I think you can try.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
First of all, congratulations for your success in the exam.
Thank you.
मैम मुझे इसमें ये पूछना है कि जैसे मेरे जो हिस्ट्री जो इकोनॉमिक्स है और पॉलिटी है, इसके क्वेश्चन सही जाते हैं, तो मुझे प्रीलिम्स में इकोनॉमिक्स और पॉलिटी के क्वेश्चन पहले करने चाहिए या क्वेश्चन 1 से करना चाहिए? मतलब आप कैसे करते थे?
Again, this will vary from person to person. I used to go 1 from 100. I did not do ki I'll do polity first, or I'll do history first, or I'll do economy first. As and when the question came, I used to attempt from 1 to 100. Again, as I said before, I used to do the paper in 2 rounds. First, maybe 1 hour, 10 minutes mein, I used to go through the entire 100 questions, mark those questions then and there which I'm extremely sure about, and I used to put that on the OMR also. I would suggest this one thing very strongly: do not leave the OMR filling for the last time. There is a very high chance that you'll make some very avoidable mistakes in filling the OMR, which you'll regret it so much. So I used to put down whatever questions I'm extremely sure about then and there, and I used to fill the box also, because what happens is also if you don't fill the box, you'll keep thinking about it too much, and sometimes you get trapped in the overthinking cycle, and आते हुए question को आप गलत कर देते हो because you thought too much about it. So once you're sure, and usually your first guess is the right guess because it's your intuition. Somewhere something has connected in your mind, and that is why you feel like that could be the correct answer, and you go with it. 90% of the cases it will work for you. And then second round mein I used to attempt those questions, as I said, 50-50, and the 75%, 25% wali questions, I used to do that. In those questions which I'm completely not sure about, I used to leave those questions because I always left 5 or 6 questions in the exam. And so yeah.
एंड मैम वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन, जैसे जो हिस्ट्री के अंदर मेडिवल और एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री है, इसके अंदर जैसे कुछ क्वेश्चन रहते हैं जिसके बारे में पता नहीं है, या कुछ ऐसा फॉर्मेट होता है only 1 only 2, जिसमें हम एक दो ही जानते हैं तो एलिमिनेट भी नहीं कर पाते, तो ऐसे क्वेश्चंस को आप कैसे हैंडल करते
मैं
थे?
छोड़ देती थी।
अच्छा, थैंक यू मैम।
मिडिवल मुझे आज तक नहीं समझ आई, मेरे को 3 साल लग गए पढ़ते हुए, मेरे से नहीं होती मिडिवल, मैं छोड़ देती थी।
और ओनली वन ओनली टू वाले जो वैसे रहते हैं जिसमें एलिमिनेट नहीं कर पाते हम?
सी ओनली वन ओनली टू वालों में ना एक चीज़ आप यूज़ कर सकते हो। सपोज अगर 3 ऑप्शन दिए हुए हैं, 3 स्टेटमेंट्स दिए हुए हैं और ओनली वैसे वाले ऑप्शन हैं ओनली वन ओनली टू ओनली थ्री, देखो बहुत लाइकली चांस है कि ओनली टू करेक्ट होगा। ये आप प्रैक्टिस भी करके देखना, PYQs में आप देखोगे, आंसर्स देखोगे, क्योंकि उसमें ना ये मेरे को किसी ने मैथमेटिकली एक्सप्लेन किया था, मैं एक्सप्लेन करने जाऊँगी, मैं बुचर कर दूँगी, आप भी कन्फ्यूज़ हो जाओगे, मैं भी कन्फ्यूज़ हो जाऊँगी।
ठीक है।
तो वो लाइकली, अब मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि सब में ओनली टू मार्क करके आना, मैं बस कह रही हूँ कि अगर करना ही है एब्सोल्युटली अटेम्प्ट, मैं तो कहूँगी छोड़ दो, अगर नहीं आता, एकदम भी नहीं पता, कुछ नहीं आता, छोड़ दो। बट अगर करना ही, आप कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं जिनको 100 क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करने होते हैं, तो फिर आई वुड सजेस्ट ओनली टू के साथ जाओ, मैथमेटिकली ज़्यादा चांस है कि आपका सही हो जाएगा।
थैंक यू मैम।
Okay, then now we will move on to main section, otherwise आगे बढ़ना tough हो जाएगा, and we can take questions again in between. So now coming to mains, we will divide it in paper 1, 2, 3, then ethics and essay, and then optional. Okay. So what was your approach to paper 1, 2, 3, and what did you do for them?
So I'll start with GS1.
Yes.
Okay. So GS1, I had a big advantage because my optional was geography. So I never really prepared geography for GS. I used to write from my optional knowledge only. So coming on to history, art and culture, society, these 3 remain, right? Yeah. So for society, there are a lot of compilations. You can pick either, all are good. So it was in a question answer format. So the entire syllabus was covered in questions. And the respective value addition was also given with respect to that. So that was again a 100, 200 page PDF. I reduced that to 25 pages. And I kept revising those. And I think for all mains paper, I'll suggest one thing. There are a lot of value addition compilations which are present in the market, a lot of good ones. So what I used to do is that after waking up, 30 minutes, I just used to go through those value additions, data, examples, diagrams, charts, whatever. And I did not actively try to memorize it because it's, आप बस 150 पेज का डेटा आप नहीं मेमोराइज कर सकते हो। मैं बस क्या करती थी, मैं रोज सुबह उठ के उसको आई यूज टू रन इट थ्रू माई आईज। 3 months में इट गॉट इंटरनलाइज्ड एंड देन आई जस्ट स्टार्टेड, इट केम वेरी नेचुरली टू मी व्हाइल आई वाज राइटिंग आंसर्स। So you can do that for every paper. Every paper will have different set of value addition that you can do. For example, GS1 में, in society, I used to pick up examples from, for example, festivals. Like for example, and again, newspaper will help you because it will give you relevant examples. Society is prevalent everywhere. It's a very wide subject, from gender rights to festivals to everything you have. And just keep revising those examples. Use them as much as possible to enrich your content. And honestly, society questions are coming more and more vaguer, like it's getting very vague. So sometimes also just general awareness around you helps to write those answers. For example, in 2023, they asked about work from home question. So again, all of us have seen that. So you need to be very present while you're writing the answer in that. Then art and culture, history, again, I used to write my content from what I had read during prelims. Hoysala architecture, I know some certain points that stellate plan is there and sandstone is there, and it was in news also because of the UNESCO intangible cultural heritage and the list. So that helped me. Prelims, I did not have any specific source for mains for history. I used to write whatever I knew from prelims, like whatever value addition I had. And again, I used to do one thing, that whenever I'm writing a mock test for GS1, the solutions that are provided, like the test solutions that are provided, that became my source for value addition because it's usually very well written. They have examples, they have everything, they have data. So again, I used to inculcate that into my notes, and over time that became my something that I read again and again and revised again and again. So I think for GS1 I did that. So GS2, again, basics I think everyone knows. I'll tell you what differently I did is that I prepared all the case judgments. I used case judgments that whenever whatever question came, I just tried to find at least one case judgment related to that, and I used to add it to my answers somehow. Again, remembering articles I think is important. So I used to read the Bare Act. I think Bare Act is a great way to revise polity also very quickly because most of it is covered. So again, articles you can use, case judgments I think are very important. And general current affairs knowledge also is, I think, required now because in 2024 GS2 they asked about the unfair means bill. So if you're not aware about that, then it's very difficult to write those answers because it's technical in nature. So I think I did that for GS2 again. GS3 is the most dynamic paper. There are so many topics to cover. And honestly, I did not have any one static source for it. I relied mainly on Mains 365 to add value to my answers. For economy, science and tech, disaster, internal security, I just read the magazines and whatever I could find from that, I added it to my notes and I kept revising it. And again, those value addition compilations that you find in market, keep running that through your eyes, and then slowly you'll start internalizing the data and the facts and examples and everything. And I think that works. For ethics, I think in ethics, the paper is so long. And the most difficult thing in ethics is time management. So what I used to do is that in case studies, I started increasing my visibility through very efficient forms of representation. For example, like sometimes they ask you to, what options will you consider, or what options do you think? So I used to make this graph, 1, 2, 3. I used to make 3 blocks. And whatever is the most probable option, I used to write at the top and give 2 or 3 words about it. Second and third option, usually you write 3 options. So what happens is that you write it in a quicker manner and it's easier to check also because your visibility increases rather than writing sentences. So I think in ethics, you need to really work on time management and working and writing your paper efficiently because that really helps in those exam-like conditions. Similarly for ethics, the basic examples all of us have because it's available in the market. I will advise try to find certain unique examples and more relevant to the paper. Do not always run after only retired IAS, IPS officers. For example, I used to always use this example of Seema Dhaka. She's a Delhi police constable and she tracked 76 missing children in 3 months. So she made a wonderful example for dedication, hard work and everything. So you can also venture into non-IPS, IAS examples as well. I think they make wonderful examples because they're new, they're unique, they're not frequently read. So I think current affairs and newspaper helps in that again because you find those unique examples.
And this is very important because everybody now is writing examples in ethics and everybody is writing those same examples. So it is very important that you go after the new examples and newspaper add great value to it.
Yeah,
right?
great value to it, yes.
Now, one thing that lot of students struggle is practice and answer writing for mains. And it is very crucial. Like answer writing is the important factor. So how did you manage your answer writing? Like what did you do for answer writing? What was your habits about it?
So during my foundation, we used to have weekly tests when we wrote 2 answers every week. And I used to take 40 minutes to write 2 answers and did not get more than 3 marks in any of the answers. I think 3 was the highest that I got. So foundation ke time pe answer writing is not that focused upon. I did not focus too much upon answer writing because you're already doing so much. You're consolidating notes. You don't know how to write an answer. So I practiced those weekly tests. And then once I finished my coaching and I gave 20. So one thing I did was that I did not clear 2023 pre. But I prepared for mains as if a prelims qualified candidate would have. I think that really changed my mains game. Because I strongly believe that if you prepare for mains once properly, ढंग से, अच्छे से एकदम, जैसे जिस साल prelims clear होगा, you'll find your name in the list. उसके बाद you'll not look back. So एक बार बैठकर mains के लिए prepare करना पड़ेगा. और ऐसे ही prepare करना पड़ेगा, उन 3 महीनों में ही preparation करनी होगी, जैसे अगर आप prelims qualify करते तो आप करते वो चीज़. And उसमें initially answer writing बहुत मुश्किल होगी, पेन नहीं पकड़ा जाएगा, दर्द होगा, ये लगेगा कि मैं 10 मार्क का आंसर लिखने में 10 मिनट ले रही हूँ, मैं कैसे 3 घंटे का पेपर कंप्लीट करूँगी, बहुत सारे थॉट्स आएंगे. बट आई थिंक आंसर राइटिंग में प्रायोरिटाइजेशन इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. यू विल गो इन लेवल्स. फर्स्ट लेवल इज जस्ट टू स्टार्ट राइटिंग, जस्ट टू इनिशिएट राइटिंग, पिक अप अ पेन, राइट अ क्वेश्चन. You will write very badly, I promise you that. You will not write it in 7 minutes, you will write it in 15 minutes, probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe. So उस समय you do not have to worry about, okay, I'm writing a bad answer, I'm not writing in the time defined limit, I don't know, I can't recall, I don't have content, a lot of problems will be there. Then slowly you'll start at least writing a basic answer. You'll get to perfecting those basic answers, that just the answers that you're writing from your foundation notes, not value added, nothing. Then you'll go to level 2, wherein you have consolidated, you have mastered the first level of answer writing. Second level you'll go where you'll start focusing on actively recalling value added material. Examples add karo, maps, diagrams, data, charts, whatever you can. Again, it will be very bad. It will not happen, it will not come naturally. You'll have to really put that pressure on your mind. Okay, how can I use this? How can I use that? Finally, that will happen after some period of time. और वो होगा. I don't know कितने time में होगा, but होगा. I still remember August 12th, 2023, I gave my first simulator, and that was the first time I wrote all 20 questions in 3 hours. And that day was more important to me than any other day, because I genuinely thought that I'll not reach that day. So, and then finally you'll reach level 3 where you can start focusing on speed, on handwriting. And then what I used to do is that once I've mastered the first 2 levels, that now I can write a basic answer with decent amount of value addition, then I just made limits for myself. I will not exceed more than 7 minutes for a 10 marker and 11 minutes for a 15 marker. And I did not have a 3-hour timeline for me. For all the questions, for all the 20 questions, I had individual question limits. And I just never exceeded that. Even if I'm written like 1.5 page, not the full 2 pages, I'll move on to the next question. And then over time, slowly your endurance will build up, the movement of your hand will get improved, and you'll develop that resilience, and it will happen. It will happen. It happened for me. I genuinely thought that I will never complete a paper in 3 hours, but August 12th. So, yeah.
And this is very important what you talked about. Na? The answer writing and mains is not something, a static part. It is a process.
It's a process. It's a long process.
And it won't happen until you start. So
you will never reach level 3 if you don't start at level 1. Yes. And if you get discouraged at level 1, it will just never. It's a positive feedback mechanism. I'm sure you've read that in environment. So one thing will lead to another. It will escalate into betterment. It will not happen overnight. If I can, I'll try to show the first answers that I've written. I wrote it in like 15 minutes, first 10 marker. कुछ याद नहीं आ रहा, कोई कंटेंट नहीं है. I'm just basically rambling on for 2 pages. But safe to say, I think mains went well.
Definitely it went well.
Most UPSC aspirants fail before they even begin. Here's how you avoid that. The mistake: they jump into preparation without a roadmap, a mentor, or a clear strategy. At VisionIAS Delhi, we help you build your UPSC foundation the right way from day one. Get structured coverage, prelims, mains, CSAT and essay, all broken down step by step, so nothing feels overwhelming. Smart current affairs with PT 365 and Mains 365. You focus only on what truly matters, no fluff. Personal mentorship, real one-on-one guidance to help you fix weak areas and boost what you're already good at. Test plus feedback loop, regular tests with detailed feedback so you never lose track of your progress. Don't start blind, start smart with VisionIAS Delhi. This is where your serious UPSC journey begins.
So any questions related to mains? Yeah, blue.
I hope I'm not boring anyone.
No, it's very
Good afternoon,
helpful what
ma'am.
you're saying.
Yes.
Many
Good afternoon.
congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding to the current affairs portion. So as you said कि आप वो newspaper करते थे regularly, इंडियन एक्सप्रेस. सो उसमें आप जो भी वैल्यू एडिशन वाले पॉइंट्स निकालते थे तो आप उसको नोट्स में लिखते थे, और या तो फिर आप मतलब न्यूज़पेपर ही 1-2 बार रिवाइज करते थे, क्योंकि एट द एंड इट विल बी वेरी हेक्टिक, क्योंकि आप सप्लीमेंट कर रहे हो करंट अफेयर्स मैगजीन, फिर PT 365, मेंस 365, तो आपके पास बहुत सारे रिसोर्सेज हैं. तो उसको आपने कैसे किया प्लीज़?
मैं न्यूज़पेपर को कभी भी अपने पढ़ाई के सोर्स की तरह नहीं देखती थी. आई हैव नेवर इवन रिवाइज्ड एनी न्यूज़पेपर. मैंने कभी न्यूज़पेपर के कोई नोट्स नहीं बनाए हैं. मैं बस न्यूज़पेपर डेली पढ़ती थी और पता है क्या होता है न्यूज़पेपर में ना, ये होता है दैट कोई भी इशू चल रहा है, अगर सपोज अभी पहलगाम अनफॉर्चुनेटली वी आर ऑल रीडिंग अबाउट इट, और वट एवर इशू इज दैट, over a period of maybe 7 days, 10 days, so many times you'll read it in the newspaper from some article, maybe an editorial, an explained section article, some front page news. If you're reading one news only 3 times in the same paper, by the third time that you're reading it, something starts to retain in your mind. So even if that does not happen, that's completely fine. I cannot practically remember the whole newspaper. Neither can I revise any newspaper. Neither did I try to make any notes out of any newspaper. I just read the newspaper as a general source of fun, to be very honest. It was my leisure time. I start my day with my newspaper and my coffee, and that was my starter for the day. I cannot wake up and start reading polity immediately. My brain will not function like that. So I use newspaper as an initiator into my day. So I never really made any notes out of anything newspaper. But for current affairs, as I told you, I relied on compilations for prelims as well as mains. Especially for GS3, I honestly only prepared GS3 from mains 365. You can see my notes, like all the topics that I have. I've just written datas, I've written points, I've written schemes, and I try to use that in my answers.
So ma'am, other question is related to the answer writing part. So आपने बोला कि वैल्यू एडिशन कुछ करना है और स्टैटिक को इंक्लूड करना है उसमें, स्टैटिक सभी कर रहे हैं. तो मैम जो भी प्रीलिम्स क्वालिफाई कर रहा है तो एट द एंड वो लगभग सेम ही बुक लिस्ट को फॉलो कर रहा है, स्पेक्ट्रम पढ़ रहा है या तो कोई नितिन सिंघानिया पढ़ रहा है. तो व्हाट इज़ द की डिफरेंशिएटर फैक्टर इन द प्रीलिम्स पार्ट? वैल्यू एडिशन भी
Prelims part or mains part?
सॉरी मेंस पार्ट में की डिफरेंशिएटर क्या है कि जिसमें ज़्यादा मार्क्स मिल सकते हैं?
Differentiator ये है that as you mentioned Spectrum or Nitin Singhania, I never read Spectrum or Nitin Singhania during mains. I never read it in those 3 months. As I said, मैंने अपने short notes बना लिए थे. और अगर आप खुद नहीं भी बना सकते हो, मार्केट में आपको मिल जाते हैं. Spectrum के short notes are widely available in the market. Lakshmikant के short notes are available in the market. So if you think that short notes banana is not your forte or it's taking too much time, you can completely rely on those resources because they're good. People have been paid to do that. So you can use those resources. I don't advise that in those 3 months, especially between prelims and mains, itna time hota है that you can read the entire spectrum again. So, and just try to pick up short notes, try to revise them as much as possible, because then only you'll start retaining facts which you'll actually be able to write in the paper. Ultimately, at the end of the day, your goal is to write the paper, not to become a master in spectrum. And see what is the rate of return. मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री से कितने सवाल आ रहे हैं मेंस में, कैसे सवाल आ रहे हैं मेंस में. आपको हर चीज़ नहीं पढ़नी है, आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना पड़ेगा कि पिछले और ये सिर्फ PYQ समझने से ही आएंगे. आई डोंट थिंक PYQ के बिना तो ये एग्जाम सॉल्व ही हो सकता है किसी से भी. तो PYQ आप सी, यू आर नॉट हियर टू डू अ PhD, यू आर नॉट हियर टू बिकम academicians. एट द एंड ऑफ द डे यू नीड टू क्लियर दिस एग्जाम बाय वट एवर वर्क्स फॉर यू. मैं आज ये बोल रही हूँ क्योंकि मेरी रैंक आ गई है तो ये स्ट्रैटेजी हो गई है. कल तक मुझे भी नहीं पता था कि ये स्ट्रैटेजी है. सबके लिए डिफरेंट स्ट्रैटेजीज हो सकती हैं. आई डोंट थिंक किसी भी टॉपर का एक वेल डिफाइंड वे है कि अच्छा मैंने ये किया था और मेरा हो गया. जो आपको सही लगता है, जो आपसे नेचुरली हो पाता है, जो आप सस्टेनेबली कर सकते हो, वो चीज़ पिकअप करो, उसको उतने अच्छे से करो कि उसमें फिर आप कभी धोखा नहीं खाओ. सो आई वुड सजेस्ट दैट. वो डिफरेंशिएटिंग फैक्टर है.
मैम NCERTs करी थी आपने?
नहीं.
Okay, next question related to mains.
Hi.
Hello.
Please stand up.
Yeah.
So we can see you.
Hi, ma'am. My question is, as I attempt answer writing practices, many times in essay I got blanked. Like if I have to write in 800 words, I cannot write more than 400 or 500 words. So how to improve or enhance my answer writing practice?
And I would add to that question, so what was your general approach to essay as well?
See, for my beginning, for essay, again, I started after 2023 prelims. मैंने अपना पहले essay लिखा. मैं भी बहुत confused थी कि ऐसे कैसे लिखते हैं, especially आजकल जैसे topics आ रहे हैं essay में. तो अगर आपको 1200 words लिखने हैं तो आप वो फ्री हैंड नहीं लिखते हो. एक टेम्पलेट होता है ऐसे के लिए कि यू हैव इंट्रोडक्शन फॉर 200 वर्ड्स और 250 वर्ड्स, देन योर फर्स्ट आर्ग्यूमेंट, सेकंड आर्ग्यूमेंट, थर्ड आर्ग्यूमेंट एंड एग्जाम्पल्स देयर बाय. अब ऐसे लिखने का भी सबका बहुत अलग अप्रोच होता है. मेरा अप्रोच ऐसे था कि मैं इंट्रोडक्शन से और इफ़ यू आई विल शेयर माई ऐसे कॉपीज विद यू. I wrote in a very storytelling format. I think it worked. It came naturally to me again. Do what comes naturally to you. If you start in a factual way, if that works for you, great. Don't try to copy someone else's format because then you'll not be able to replicate it in the exam. So I used to always start with some example. And I loved Greek philosophers. That because they have such a wide, they were all like polymaths and they have so many diverse fields. So I always used to bring in Aristotle somewhere or Socrates somewhere because you can really mold their stories to what your essay topic demands. And I think it makes a great introduction. So figure out that, like, what works, what template do you think that works for you? So I always used to start with, mostly I used to start with some Greek examples or some Roman examples, and I used to introduce my topic through their anecdotes. And honestly, I would consider myself a little bit blessed because I think I have good English. I have a good vocabulary. I think so. I don't know.
Definitely well.
So I think I was a little bit blessed here. I'll credit that to my school and college that my English and vocabulary were good. So I used to play around with words. I used to play around with the language because I feel that what makes essay different from GS papers is that you have creativity in essay because you just have to write 2400 words in 3 hours, unlike other papers where you just like start writing at the drop of the pen or drop of the clock. So essay mein you can really use your creativity. So I think my creative side worked well for me in essay. And beginning mein essays will come out very bad. They'll not be good, and that's completely fine. I remember that the first essay I wrote, I stopped midway and I cried. That what am I writing? Why am I writing this? What sense does this make? But it's okay. It really does not have to make any sense. You just have to pick up the pen and you start. I think half the problem stops when you pick up the pen. That is the toughest part. Trust me, I know a lot of people say this, but once you pick up the pen, a lot of things, it's a feedback mechanism. आप खुद लिखोगे, आप देखोगे आप क्या लिख रहे हो, आपको समझ आएगा कि यार मैं क्या लिख रही हूँ, फिर आप उस चीज़ पे इम्प्रूव करने की कोशिश करोगे. जब तक मैं पेन नहीं उठाऊंगी मुझे पता ही नहीं चलेगा मैं क्या लिख रही हूँ, मैं कैसा लिख रही हूँ, और एक दिन में तो अच्छा नहीं लिखूंगी मैं. तो वो चीज़ ट्राई करो. कोई भी ऐसे उतना डिफिकल्ट ऐसे टॉपिक मत उठाओ फॉर बिगिनिंग जो आ जाते हैं, द हैंड दैट रॉक्स द क्रेडल रूल्स द वर्ल्ड. क्या होता है इसका मतलब मुझे नहीं पता. तो ईजी टॉपिक्स उठाओ थोड़े, उनसे स्टार्ट करो ग्रेजुअली. और ऐसे में हमेशा एक लिबर्टी होती है कि स्पेशली मुझे लगता है जो नए आजकल फिलोसफिकल टॉपिक्स आते हैं उसमें बहुत सब्जेक्टिवनेस रहती है. आप जैसे इंटरप्रेट करो आप वैसे लिख सकते हो, उसमें कुछ गलत या सही नहीं है एज लॉन्ग एज you are justifying what you're saying. Just never contradict yourself in an essay, and always try to present a counter argument at the end of your essay. That's very important because that shows how well rounded you are and you're not open, like you're not closed minded, that you're open to contradictions and you're open to evaluating your own self. So I think these 2-3 non-negotiables are there in essay. Otherwise I think essay is a very personal thing. Start writing it, see what you feel about it yourself. Show it to your mentors, show it to people who know essay, who have done well in essays. They'll give you feedbacks. I think essay mein jitna you share with other people, you grow. So I think you can start with that.
And it is very important what you said, no? Whether it's essay or mains answer writing, the half of your problems are solved the moment you pick up that pen, because from there only the journey starts. You can have a lot of classes, a lot of notes, everything, but if you don't start writing, then you will not go anywhere.
Sir, एक बात बताऊं, एग्ज़ाम तब क्लियर होगा जब आप 1-1.5 साल चुपचाप अपने कमरे में बैठ के बस पढ़ाई कर रहे हो. नो फ्रिल्स, नो फैंसीज, प्लेन पढ़ाई. इतने नैरेटिव्स क्रिएट हो गए हैं मार्केट में कि ये करने से एग्ज़ाम क्लियर होगा, ये होगा. बहुत सिंपल चीज़ लोग भूल जाते हैं कि पढ़ाई करनी है. जैसे हो, सुबह हो रही है, शाम को हो रही है, रात में हो रही है, जब हो रही है पढ़ाई होनी चाहिए. पढ़ाई हो गई 1-1.5 साल एग्ज़ाम क्लियर है, कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं है एग्ज़ाम में.
Okay, so we will move to now your optional. So you already had in your mind that you will go for geography, but what was the process of it? Like, how did you approach it? What sources you referred? What did you practice? And what helped you when it comes to geography?
Again, I Honestly, I took coaching for my geography optional as well in 2023. एंड ऑप्शनल के साथ मतलब मेरी ऑप्शनल में कोई बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ाई हुई नहीं थी 2023 में. तो अगर मेरा प्रीलिम्स क्लियर हो भी जाता तो आई वॉज नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड विद माई ऑप्शनल. सो वंस आई फेल्ड प्रीलिम्स अगेन आई पिक्ड अप ऑप्शनल एंड दैट टाइम आई वॉज स्टडिंग ऑप्शनल रियली. अगेन एज आई सेड, मैं पहले साल में क्लास ले रही थी, मैं पढ़ नहीं रही थी. अगले साल में मैंने पढ़ाई करी ऑप्शनल की. तो और ऐसा नहीं है कि वो साल मेरा वेस्ट था जिस साल मैं क्लासेस ले रही थी, बिकॉज इवेंचुअली जो मेरे नोट्स बने वो मेरे क्लास नोट्स से बने जो मैंने ऑप्शनल की कोचिंग से करे. स्पेशली फॉर फिजिकल जोग्राफी, अगर आपकी कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी इज क्लियर, इट्स वेरी लाइकली दैट यू विल स्कोर गुड इन फिजिकल जोग्राफी, स्पेशली पेपर 1 आई थिंक. So what I did in optional was I prepared my notes. I took out the syllabus for optional. Optional, one very great thing is that topics are repeated because topics are limited. It's technical in nature. All the optionals are technical in nature. You pick out the syllabus, start preparing 2 or 3 pages notes for every keyword that is mentioned because सवाल उन्हीं से आने वाला है. GS में बहुत ज़्यादा वेगनेस रहती है, डायनेमिसिटी रहती है, ऑप्शनल में कम रहती है. मैं अपने ऑप्शनल के लिए आई पिक्ड आउट 5-7 years PYQs. I saw that questions are repeated, topical questions, thematic questions are repeated all the time, and I prepared my notes for that particular topic, and I used that as it is in my exam. As it is. I knew that this question is going to come, and it came, and I wrote down that answer because I knew that it's going to work. And what I did in optional was I joined a test series for optional at Vision only. And after writing every test, I took back the solutions. That became my value addition. I did not refer any current affairs material for geography because current affairs was already asked in that question. So I knew that that is the answer that I'm looking for. And even before going to my optional paper, like I woke up at 5 a.m. in the morning, the day my exam was going to happen, and I gave 8 tests and I read the solutions. What happens is that firstly, content enrichment. Secondly, it becomes very fresh in your mind how to write an answer. So whenever I saw a question, I knew, okay, this is where I have to put a case study, this is where I have to put a map, this is where I have to put up an example. That is like it was sort of imprinted on my mind, and I emulated that on the exam day itself. I just like woke up very early that morning and I went through all the solutions. I saw, okay, how is an answer to be written, कहाँ पर केस स्टडी आनी है, कहाँ पर मैप ला सकती हूँ, कहाँ पर डायग्राम लेके आना है, कहाँ पर फिलोसोफर स्कॉलर का नेम लेकर आना है, कैसे कनेक्ट करना है पेपर 1 पेपर 2 को. इन सब चीज़ों से आई थिंक मुझे बहुत हेल्प हुई. एंड मैंने मतलब जैसा मैं पढ़ के गई थी सुबह, मैंने वैसा का वैसा आंसर लिखने की कोशिश करी. सेम टॉपिक नहीं आया, लेकिन कंटेंट इतना बढ़ गया था और इतना समझ आ गया था कि ऐसे आंसर लिखना है, इधर केस स्टडी ला सकते हो, ऐसे स्कॉलर का नाम लिख सकते हो, तो वो चीज़ करी. आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाट आई डिड.
Any questions for optional? Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, my question regarding the optional is that while preparing for our foundation course, we have to add optional classes too. So being from the geography background, is it possible that I prepare for my optional by myself only, and about the rest portion, that in the optional part, how much depth we need to go? Like in the college, we have to study much depth. Like I have completed my
Yes.
graduation from a central university, so there I have to read much depth knowledge of geography. So how much I need to add that in my geography optional?
Sorry, your first question was?
About can I prepare for my geography
Okay,
optional?
right. I think you totally can. I took coaching. I think coaching really helped me in paper 1. But paper 2, I genuinely feel that no coaching can help you because it's so dynamic in nature. It's so current affairs oriented. In fact, if you see a paper 2 question, that exact same question can be asked in GS as well. So there's no, like, बहुत little concept होता है उसके अंदर में. Obviously, there are technicalities in paper 2 as well, but I think it's a general paper, and इतना dynamicity है that no coaching can capture that, in my opinion. So उसमें what I did was I prepared myself only. Most of paper 2 I prepared myself. So I took Majid Hussain and Khullad, and I again made my short notes out of it. I think I just have one thing to say, that most of the times I made short notes out of whatever source that I was reading, and I tried to revise it. I tried revising it as many times as possible. And again, I used the help of PYQs here. So what I used to do was that PYQs मैंने देखे, I used to type that question on Google, EduChemi के you'll find very good answers made. So I used the value addition and the examples that was present in those answers and I added it to my notes. Similarly what happens is that optional पढ़ना एक चीज़ है, लिखना अलग चीज़ है. तो वो भी आप उससे सीखते हो कि कैसे सपोज मैंने मिडाल्स की कॉजेशन थ्योरी पढ़ी अगर, तो हाउ टू यूज, बिकॉज पेपर विल नॉट आस्क डायरेक्टली व्हाट इज मिडाल्स कॉजेशन थ्योरी. It will ask something about urbanization or maybe peripheral development, and there you can use Medal to back your argument. That is how you write an optional answer. That is how you distinguish an optional answer from a GS answer. So that all you'll learn with the help of PYQs and reading the model answers for those PYQs. That is a skill that you'll sort of pick up from that. And similarly, when you'll write test, you'll read the solutions and you'll see how they have presented their argument. Basically, I also wrote the same thing. They also have given the same thing. But they have presented it so beautifully. They have added scholar's name. They've added a case study. They've added diagrams, maps, presented it in such a beautiful way. That is why it's a model answer. So try to learn from that. You don't have to completely perfect it. 50% bhi kar loge, to you'll write very good answers. So I think that ways you can.
And how much depth one need to go about?
Again, PYQs will answer that. लुक इन टू PYQs, कितने डेप्थ में वो PYQs पूछ रहे हैं. जैसे आपने ग्रेजुएशन करी है जोग्राफी में, मैंने भी वहीं से करी थी जोग्राफी में ग्रेजुएशन. तो जितना कॉलेज में पढ़ते हैं वो थोड़ा सा अलग होता है जो आपको ऑप्शनल में करना होता है. PYQs विल हेल्प यू देयर. देखो कितने डेप्थ में पूछ रहे हैं वो सवाल, कैसे सवाल आ रहे हैं. GS मेरे को लगता है पेपर 2 में काफ़ी जनरल सवाल आते हैं, वाटर क्राइसिस, एग्रीकल्चर, GS में भी वो सवाल आ सकते हैं. तो उसमें आपके जो नोट्स हैं वो कितना उसको कवर कर पा रहे हैं. अगर आपको लग रहा है आप सफिशिएंटली कवर कर पा रहे हो मोस्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस, आई थिंक यू आर डूइंग इनफ. इफ नॉट, डिग अ लेवल डीपर. So again, I think PYQs hold the answer to that question as well.
And ma'am, regarding the maps, that I myself get difficulty in map, like identifying regions and implementing them in my answer. When I write answers, I get difficulty in using the regions. Like I cannot imprint them in my mind. So how can I overcome that?
Practice. You need to practice. What you can do is, whenever you're reading maybe Khullad or Majid Hussain, उसमें maps दिए होते हैं साथ में about the topic. So I made a separate 20-25 page booklet of just maps. कि एग्रीकल्चर पे मैप आया, एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्टिविटी पे मैं यही मैप बना के आऊँगी फटाफट. मैंने 2 बार उसको प्रैक्टिस कर लिया कि कोई भी एग्रीकल्चर पे सवाल आए फटाफट एक मैप ऐड हो गया मेरे आंसर में. सिमिलरली लिटरेसी पे, पॉपुलेशन पे, सेक्स रेशियो पे, वहाँ पे मैप्स दिए होते हैं उस टॉपिक के साथ में. एकदम से ऐसे याद करना बहुत मुश्किल है. उसको 2-3 बार प्रैक्टिस करो, उसको बना के रखो पेपर पे, और जब भी एग्जाम देने जा रहे हो उसको देखो फटाफट 5 मिनट के अंदर में. धीरे धीरे आ जाएगा आपको कैसे उसको यूज़ करना है अपने आंसर में. कहीं पे भी पॉपुलेशन पे क्वेश्चन आया, एक मैप डाल दो. एग्जामिनर मना तो नहीं करेगा कि मत डालो यहाँ पर. थोड़ा सा भी रेलिवेंट लग रहा है फटाफट यूज इट. सो या.
Thank you, ma'am.
We can have more questions. Like, yeah. Please stand up when you are asking a question so we know where you are.
Hello, ma'am. So my question is about the 3 months which we get after the prelims. So I want to know what we should do specifically in 3 months which makes the difference, that someone get selected in the mains and give the interview, or someone is not getting selected. And secondly, ma'am, what your 1 week before the mains exam looked like, what you were doing in that 1 week.
So irrespective whether you have qualified prelims or not, irrespective of that, I request each and every one of you to prepare for mains as if you are going to write mains. And honestly, when mains start, even if you're not writing mains, पेपर आ जाता है, 3 घंटे का पेपर वहीं पे लिखो. ऐसे प्रिपेयर करो कि यही मेरा 3 घंटे का पेपर है और मुझे ये देना है. वो टारगेट डेट्स अपने मन में रखो. आई फील लाइक ह्यूमन नेचर होता है जब हमें टाइम इन्फ्लेट्स वर्क. आपको 3 महीने दिए जाएंगे पढ़ने के लिए. अगर आप मेंस रख रहे हो, आप किसी भी वे में मेंस उन 3 महीने में प्रिपेयर करोगे, डे इन डे नाइट करके. अगर आपको है कि अभी मुझे मेंस नहीं लिखना है, मेरे को अभी मेरा प्रीलिम्स ही नहीं हुआ है, तो जब जिस साल प्रीलिम्स हो जाएगा यू विल फाइंड योरसेल्फ लॉस्ट. बिकॉज उन 3 महीनों में मेंस की पढ़ाई वैसी होती है कि मिशन मोड में, वॉर जोन में आप पढ़ाई कर रहे होते हो उस समय मेंस के लिए. उस समय अगर आप सोचोगे कि उस टाइम आप पहला आंसर लिख रहे हो अपनी लाइफ का, तो वो बहुत टाइम कंज्यूमिंग प्रोसेस हो जाएगा. और अभी तो वैसे भी टाइम कम हो गया है फॉर मेंस, इट्स इन अगस्त ओनली. सो वेन एवर आई रिक्वेस्ट कि प्रिलिम्स हुआ है नहीं हुआ है, उन 3 महीने जून जुलाई अगस्त prepare for mains as if you are going to write mains, and I think that is the distinguishing edge. I did not clear 2023 ka prelims, but I did prepare for mains as if I'm going to write mains. And when I did in 2024, I already had an experience of mains, so I could easily ease into the process of writing answers, consolidating notes, revising them and everything. तो and confidence भी आता है आपको, क्योंकि आपने already पहले 3-3 घंटे के पेपर लिखे हुए होते हैं, तो आपको थोड़ा सा एक तसल्ली रहती है कि मैंने वो चीज़ करी भी है, आई कैन एमुलेट दैट अगेन. तो आई थिंक ये डिस्टिंग्विशिंग फैक्टर है. एक बार मेंस की प्रिपरेशन अच्छे से कर ली तो एग्ज़ाम हो जाएगा अच्छे से. एंड आपका सेकंड सवाल क्या था? व्हाट माय 1 week looked before mains. Unfortunately, my father had got fungal infection 1 week before mains, and my entire family was sick. I had fever of 103 degrees 1 week before mains. And उस दिन I realized हाउ इम्पॉर्टेंट योर हेल्थ इज़. इवन आपने अगर पढ़ाई नहीं करी है, अगर आपकी तबीयत ठीक है, आप जाकर मेंस लिखोगे अच्छे से. अगर बुखार में हो या कुछ हो तो फिर तो और ही ज़्यादा बुरा लगता है, बिकॉज आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है वो चीज़. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली माई 1 week बिफोर मेंस वॉज वेरी ट्रोमैटिक फॉर मी. बट luckily whatever energy is out there helped me and I passed through mains.
Any more question? Yeah, please.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank
Ma'am,
you.
actually, my question is how you managed your sleep schedule while preparing for optional paper or mains part?
During the exam.
During
those
the exam,
9
after
papers.
prelims.
After, no, like, do you mean that during mains, the 9 days?
The
or
last month and after prelims,
Okay.
the last month.
Okay.
And a very good question. Like, no, this is a very,
Very
good
genuine question.
genuine
Very
question.
genuine question.
Sleep cycles are very important.
See, I don't know how people my age are pulling all-nighters. I don't know. I need at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Otherwise, I cannot function the other day. My eyes will start watering. My mind will close up. I am not one of those people who can pull all-nighters or who can work on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. Obviously, कुछ days होते हैं ऐसे. But on and whole, अगर मैं बोलूँ तो मेरे को तो अपनी नींद बहुत प्यारी है. मैं नहीं कर सकती अपनी नींद के बिना. तो even 1 month before mains, I was sleeping 6 to 7 hours a day. And I used to take a nap also in the afternoon. Otherwise, between 2 sessions of the day also, my mind used to close up since like 7-8 बजते शाम को मेरा दिमाग बंद हो जाता था. But ये था, sleep schedule उतना मैटर नहीं करता है. मैं एक चीज़ बोलूँगी, मैं सोई आराम से 8-8 घंटे 9-9 घंटे में सोई हूँ. बट ये था कि बाकी जो मेरे वेकिंग आवर्स थे उसमें मैं सिर्फ पढ़ाई कर रही थी. तो अगर वो कर रहे हो तो फिर स्लीप शेड्यूल इज़ नॉट दैट इम्पॉर्टेंट. बट येस, आई विल एडवाइज दैट जब प्रिलिम्स एकदम पास आ गया है कि अब 2-3 दिन बचे हैं, और अगर मेंस एकदम पास आ गया कि अब 1 हफ्ता बचा है, तब गेट बैक टू द एग्जाम टाइमिंग्स. लाइक अलाइन योर स्लीप शेड्यूल विद द एग्जाम टाइमिंग्स, बिकॉज इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू प्रिपेयर योर माइंड फॉर दैट. अगर प्रिलिम्स 9:30 बजे से है और किसी कोई सोने ही सुबह 5 बजे जा रहा है, तो फिर वो 9:30 बजे उसका ब्रेन ही कम से कम अकस्टम्ड है कि अभी ये मेरा नींद का टाइम है. ऑनेस्टली मुझे वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुई, बिकॉज आई एम एन अर्ली मॉर्निंग पर्सन. मैं रात में सो जाती थी और मैं सुबह 7-8 बजे उठ जाती थी. बट अगर किसी का है कि वो रात में पढ़ते हैं तो पढ़ो, वैसे ही पढ़ो, कोई चेंज मत करो अपने शेड्यूल में. बस प्रिलिम्स के 2-3 दिन पहले गेट बैक टू दैट टाइमिंग ऑफ एग्जाम कि 9:30 बजे यू आर एक्टिव एंड यू हैव हैड योर स्लीप ऑफ 7 to 8 hours. और तो नींद आती नहीं है प्रिलिम्स के पहले, बट फिर भी. तो आई थिंक यही है.
One more thing I have to ask, what is the level of excitement right now you have after this phase? Like the journey of Labasna that you are going to experience now?
Again, good question.
बहुत ही जेन्युइन क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो आप, मतलब मज़ा आ गया मुझे. सी, मैं यहाँ पे कोई ज्ञान देने नहीं आई हूँ किसी को, लेकिन मैं बहुत खुशी से ज़्यादा मैं बहुत रिलीव्ड हूँ क्योंकि मुझे CSAT फिर से नहीं पढ़ना पड़ेगा. तो मुझे फिर से पॉलिटी नहीं पढ़नी पड़ेगी, मुझे हिस्ट्री नहीं पढ़नी पड़ेगी फिर से. मैं उस सब चीज़ों के लिए बहुत रिलीव्ड हूँ, क्योंकि मैं एक चीज़ बताती हूँ, ये साइकिल बहुत लंबी है. अगर आप एक साल के साइकिल में अगर आप हर तीनों स्टेजेस भी सक्सेसिवली क्लियर करते चले जाओ, इट्स स्टिल एन 11 months जर्नी, जस्ट द एग्जाम पार्ट ऑफ इट. सो when you're finally out of that cycle, it's a sense of relief more than happiness that you do not have to go through all of that again, because it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of physical energy, mental energy, every way possible. Like, it's a tough exam. So excitement से ज़्यादा मैं relieved हूँ, मैं सही बताऊँ. और रही बात about Labasna and FC, see, it's a part of the journey, it's a part of the process. बट मेरे लिए इट वॉज नेवर रियली द गोल. मैंने कभी पढ़ाई ये सोच के नहीं करी कि मुझे लबासना जाने को मिलेगा. ठीक है, अब मिलेगा, अच्छी बात है, तो अब सोचूंगी उसके बारे में क्या करना है वहाँ पे. बट जब मैं पढ़ाई कर रही थी, मेरे रूम में कोई लबासना के पोस्टर्स नहीं थे. इनफैक्ट मैं इनको यही बता रही थी कि मैंने आज के पहले कभी टॉपर स्टॉक देखी भी नहीं है, क्योंकि आई यूज टू रियली फाइंड इट ऑल ऑफ दैट ओवरवेलमिंग. अब व्हेन आई एम एट दैट पोजिशन, आई विल थिंक अबाउट ऑल ऑफ दोज थिंग्स, एंड आई रियली, मुझे ऑनेस्टली पता भी नहीं है व्हाट हैपन्स आफ्टर सिलेक्शन. I don't know how Lavasna goes or what happens, so I'll think about it. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you, ma'am.
A very genuine answer as well. Okay, so now we would like to know your interview experience. So how the interview went and what all went before the interview in your mind, and how did you process all that?
So मेंस का रिजल्ट आया था 9th December को, and एक दो दिन I celebrated and everything, and then I quickly jumped to DAF, how to prepare the DAF. I took out a template even before the form actually opened. I took out the template and I started looking at the entries, what I need to fill, the strategy behind it. I talked to my mentors, talked to my service seniors, talked to my friends, and I finalized my DAF within a week, mostly a week, and I submitted my DAF. Then the dates came that when the interview is going to happen, and this was my first interview, and my interview was on the 14th of January, 7 days after the interview was to begin. I cried for 2 hours that day, and after crying for 2 hours, I got into preparation mode. So it's my thing. Firstly, whenever a crisis hits, I need to cry beforehand. So I jumped into preparation mode. Now again, this can vary person to person. I gave 15 mocks before my interview. 15 mocks. I possibly gave every mock that I saw. And I think it worked for me. Why? Because I'll tell you what, in the 15 mocks that I gave, 12 or 13 mocks mein, I was put through such intense rounds of questioning. It was more like a rapid fire was happening between me and the panel. And like 1 or 2 mocks, I remember when I walked out of the room, I had sweat on my forehead because it was so intense. 40 minutes grilling, questioning, intense questioning, counter questioning, everything. But what happened was that I prepared for the worst. And when I actually gave my interview, it was so pleasant. The real interview, I had Lieutenant General Raj Shukla sir's board, and supposedly again narratives that it's a tough board and he's a tough chairman. Maybe he is. I don't know. I don't know my marks yet. But the atmosphere in that room was so light. It was so conversational. It was so pleasant. I had such a great time in my real interview that when I actually walked out of the room, I felt a certain sense of lightness which I never did in my mocks. Again, this could totally be proven wrong if my marks don't come out well. But that is what I felt during the exam, during the interview process. And interview mein, I read 3 newspapers a day. I was reading Indian Express, I was reading Hindu, and I was reading Mint. And I think that's a complete non-negotiable during interview stage. I don't think that you can skip newspapers. Minimum 3 तो आपको पढ़ने ही पड़ेंगे. मुझे 4 भी किसी ने suggest किए थे कि 4 पढ़ो. I could do 3 a day. So for at least a month, and fortunately for me, I just had to do it for a month. I know people who have been doing it for the past 3 months. So I think
in interview you can do that. You have time.
You have time, definitely. But again, it becomes tricky for those जिनका interview थोड़ा late होता है, because they have to prepare for prelims also simultaneously. So yeah.
So how was after interview? What did you thought? How it went? Like आपको लग रहा था अच्छा गया है या फिर you had कि पता नहीं कैसा गया?
See, it was very surprising because जब मैं निकली थी interview देख के for 1 and 2 days, मुझसे सबने पूछा how my interview went. I told everyone. I felt it was very pleasant. It was very conversational. I think it went well. Most of the answers I knew. It was not too factual. It was more of a opinion-oriented thing. I remember the chairman asked me about the 90-hour work week issue that was going on at the time of my interview. So I felt it went well. But I don't know, when the results were about to come, I went back in retrospect and I thought that यार इतना भी अच्छा नहीं हुआ था interview शायद से. So I had a dual experience. I think when I exited the room, I felt it went well. But now in retrospect, I was thinking it might not have gone that well. I don't know.
And what about now? Now what you are thinking? It
Might have worked. So let's see. I am waiting for the marks. Then I'll tell you how it actually went.
Any questions? Like now you can ask questions. Yeah, please.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Congratulations for your success.
Thank you.
Ma'am, in interview, what type of questions are asked in field of hobbies? Means what's your hobbies, and during interview, what type of questions are asked?
So fortunately, I knew that one or two questions are going to be asked from my hobbies because I think I had unique hobbies. So in my DAF, I had mentioned three hobbies actually. So first is in my graduation, I used to work on QGIS software. So I used to prepare maps for fun. मुझे मज़ा आता था maps बनाने में computer पे. तो मैंने एक वो हॉबी ऐड करी थी. एक मेरी पेंट बाय नंबर्स की हॉबी थी. I don't know how many of you are aware what paint by numbers is. I'll explain it in a while. And my third hobby was Pilates. It's a form of exercise. So I knew that one or two questions is going to be asked from my hobbies, and it actually came in my interview as well. So my question was on paint by numbers. So paint by numbers is this painting set that you can order from Amazon or Flipkart, wherein you have a canvas and it's divided into numbered segments, and you get a paint set along with it, and you can color. So it's basically like a coloring book for adults. So I used to do that. I felt it was very relaxing and therapeutic. So the member asked me, what is paint by numbers, first of all? I told her, and she also asked me that, do you think it's restrictive in nature? That why are you not painting freehand? Do you think that you like to be within the box? So I had prepared for that answer because my mocks had prepared me for that. So what I told her was that I am a novice painter. I am not very good at painting. So I'm using this as a template to hone my painting skills so that finally one day I can pick up a brush and paint whatever I like without it spilling all over the place. And again, she counter questioned me because she thought that paint by numbers is a digital thing. She thought that I used to do it on an iPad or something. So she asked me, don't you think that it's cheating with the real process of painting? So I corrected her that it's not, I did not do it on a digital platform. I had a canvas and paint, and it got as messy as it could, and it was not just a digital thing. So that was my hobbies part of questioning.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Yeah, we can have all questions now.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
As you have said, you prepared for LLB as optional B, option B as a career.
Plan B, okay, yes.
But you had geography as an optional subject. So how did you manage that?
See, I never really prepared for anything in my plan B. आप जब UPSC के लिए पढ़ रहे होते हैं, you can manage exams like CUET. You don't have to prepare for it otherwise. मतलब no offense to CUET, but it's not as difficult as UPSC. So I think 1 or 2 days before my CUET exam, I just went over some current affairs thing, but I knew that it's so factual that my rate of return is going to be very less. So I honestly didn't spend any time on it. I just prepared for 1 or 2 days, and I gave the exam, and fortunately I got a college also, but I didn't obviously start the course. And as for my masters, I had applied to some foreign universities, and therein the process is a bit different. You have to submit an essay, and you have to submit certain your qualifications and background educational qualifications. So again, that was also not too time consuming. So
thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else? Yeah.
First of all, congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
For become a topper. Ma'am, I'm from geography background. So my question is, ma'am, जैसा बोला जाता है कि geography में बहुत कम selection rate होता है और मैम बोलते हैं कि markings कम होती हैं, तो मैम what your approach to write the answer?
आप क्या जानना चाहते हो कि मैंने आंसर कैसे लिखा या मैंने ये मैनेज कैसे किया?
Yes, ma'am. And managing the time simultaneously and writing the good answer. For
See, I'll tell you very honestly, जब मेरा सिलेक्शन हुआ है पिछले 2.5 दिन में people have told me that geography is a very tough optional. People are not getting selected from geography. Getting marks is difficult in geography. I'll tell you very honestly, I never knew this before. I did not know that geography is apparently a not very popular optional. Because as I told you, मेरे UPSC जर्नी में कोई चीज़ constant थी, starting से वो geography ही थी. I was very sure that this is what I'm going to pick as my optional. I just did not. It can be presented in a negative light also because I really did not do any research on the scoring patterns or trends or anything. So, and coming on to your question of how I approached it, as I already said, मैंने PYQs उठाए, मैंने उनके आंसर्स देखने शुरू करे, कैसे आंसर्स लिखे जाते हैं, जो मैं पढ़ रही हूँ उसको मैं लिखूँ कैसे आंसर फॉर्मेट में, मैंने वो देखा, कैसे फिलोसफर्स और स्कॉलर्स के नाम ऐड हुए जाते हैं, कैसे उनको कनेक्ट किया जाता है करंट अफेयर्स के साथ में, वो मैं आपको समझा नहीं सकती हूँ अपने आप से, जितना आप वो खुद देखोगे आप समझ जाओगे. और सिमिलरली जो मैं टेस्ट लिखती थी मैं उसके सॉल्यूशंस को पढ़ती थी, 3-4 बार ही मैंने एटलीस्ट पढ़े हैं, मैंने एग्ज़ाम के सुबह उनको पढ़े हैं और मैंने देखा था कि कैसे वो आंसर लिखते हैं, कैसे केस स्टडी बीच में लाई जाती है, क्योंकि अपने आप से नहीं आता है केस स्टडी लिखना हमें, कैसे पहली बात तो कंटेंट क्या होगा केस स्टडी का और दूसरा कैसे उस केस स्टडी को अपने आंसर में ऐड करना है, वो सब मैंने मॉडल सोल्यूशन से सीखा है. तो मैंने तो ऐसे ही अप्रोच किया. और अबाउट टाइम मैनेजमेंट, अगेन ड्यूरिंग द 3 months बिटवीन प्रीलिम्स एंड मेंस, मैं यूजुअली सेकेंड हाफ ऑफ द डे में अपना रिजर्व करती थी फॉर ऑप्शनल, फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ द डे में मैं GS पढ़ती थी और रात का जो स्लॉट होता था उसमें मैं जो भी मेरा मिसलेनियस होता था कि मुझे ऐसे लिखना है या मुझे करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ना है, मुझे 365 पढ़नी है, मुझे जो भी पढ़ना है वो मैं यूजुअली रात वाले स्लॉट में पढ़ती थी. तो ऐसे ही आप डिवाइड करके चलो एंड थोड़ी बहुत फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी रखो शेड्यूल में. कभी ऐसा होगा कि आप कोई टॉपिक ख़त्म करना है आपको, तो हो सकता है उस दिन 4 की जगह 6 घंटे भी लग जाए ऑप्शनल में और GS 2 घंटे कम पढ़ पाओगे, बट अगले दिन GS ज़्यादा पढ़ लेना, तो वो ओवरऑल बैलेंस हो जाएगा. ऐसा कोई फिक्स्ड वो नहीं है कि इतना ही पढ़ना है उतना ही पढ़ना है, कभी थोड़ा कम कभी थोड़ा ज़्यादा, ओवरऑल बैलेंस रहना चाहिए.
Good afternoon, ma'am. For me, it is comparatively easy to analyze the prelims paper, but while I have heard that mains questions are comparatively predictable, but I am not able to. I want to know the proper way to analyze the mains questions, PYQs. What is the main? Can we prepare the templates beforehand while identifying the topics that are repetitively coming in the exams?
See, honestly, GS में क्वेश्चंस रिपीट नहीं होते हैं पर थीम्स रिपीट होती है. अगर आप देखो जो ब्रॉड थीम्स हैं उसमें आपको सिलेबस हेल्प करेगा. जैसे इकोनॉमी का आप सिलेबस उठाओ, उसमें लिखा हुआ है मोबिलाइजेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज करके. आप डायरेक्टली आप कभी भी PYQ में वो वर्ड नहीं देखोगे मोबिलाइजेशन, लेकिन आप क्वेश्चन देखोगे लेबर पर, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर, इन्वेस्टमेंट पर, ये सब भी रिसोर्स ही है, राइट. तो इसमें आप बेसिक टेम्पलेट्स प्रिपेयर कर सकते हो. जैसे आई फील दैट फूड इंडस्ट्री पे, फूड प्रोसेसिंग इंडस्ट्री पे क्वेश्चंस आ ही रहे हैं. अपस्ट्रीम डाउनस्ट्रीम लिंकेजेस, कैसे एम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ा सकते हैं, कैसे रीजनल डेवलपमेंट कर सकते हैं, सम मतलब वो हो सकता है उसका कंटेक्स्ट अलग हो बट वो क्वेश्चन फूड प्रोसेसिंग इंडस्ट्री पर है, तो उस पर आप टेम्पलेट प्रिपेयर करके रख सकते हो. सिमिलरली इकोनॉमी भी आप देखोगे तो क्वेश्चंस ऑन अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट एंड इंडियाज़ अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट इलास्टिसिटी, दैट जॉबलेस ग्रोथ थीम है, उस पर रेपिटेटिवली क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं वन वे और द अदर. मतलब जैसे मैं एक सोर्स रेफर करती थी, ऑनलाइन सोर्स था वो, उन्होंने PYQs के मॉडल सोल्यूशंस प्रोवाइड करे हुए थे इकोनॉमी के, तो क्वेश्चन अलग है लेकिन बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस में कंटेंट उन्होंने सेम ही दिया हुआ था बिकॉज इट इज़ रिलेटेड टू दैट ब्रॉडर थीम. तो वो आप जैसे जैसे रिकग्नाइज करोगे आपको समझ आएगा कि क्वेश्चन अगर लेबर पे है, जॉबलेस ग्रोथ पे है, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट इलास्टिसिटी पे है, आपको सोल्यूशन में स्किलिंग ही लिख कर आना है, स्किलिंग के ही स्कीम्स देने हैं कि ऐसे इंडिया इम्प्रूव कर सकता है. तो वो चीज़ आप मॉडल सोल्यूशन से फिगर आउट करो, सिर्फ PYQ देखने से नहीं समझ आएगी वो चीज़। उसके आंसर्स जब आप देखोगे, बहुत सारे कंपाइलेशंस अवेलेबल हैं मॉडल सोल्यूशंस के, पिक अप एनी गुड वन एंड सी दैट क्वेश्चन में भी डिफरेंट है बट आंसर सेम लिखे हुए हैं मोस्टली 90%। तो तब आप ऐसे एनालाइज कर सकते हो मेंस को।
Looking for expert mentoring to crack UPSC? Lakshya Mentoring Program is your answer, a personalized, expert-led path from preparation to performance. If you are targeting Prelims 2025, here is what is in store with batch starting from 14th March. One-on-one mentoring with UPSC experts. Tailor-made strategy to match your needs. Regular MCQ-based assessments, CSAT support. Access to live quiz, Sandhan personalized tests, Lakshya Prelims practice tests. Planning for the long game Prelims, Mains and Interview 2026? Lakshya Integrated Mentoring Program 2026 gives you a head start with batch starting from 15th March. Year-round mentoring support, structured preparation calendar. Prelims to interview coverage including GS, CSAT, ethics, essay, and personality test guidance. Regular evaluation, customized feedback, and adaptive planning. Regular group and one-on-one session with mentors. Integrated current affairs preparation with digital current affairs platform.
Any more questions? Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Like, were you preparing for prelims 2025 or after your interview was over, or आप sure थे कि नहीं इस बार हो जाएगा मेरा?
मैं परसों तक पढ़ाई कर रही थी, तो नहीं, मैं बिल्कुल श्योर नहीं थी कि मेरा हो जाएगा। मैं बहुत ही अंडर कॉन्फिडेंट थी, मुझे तो लग भी नहीं रहा था कि मेरा नाम आएगा लिस्ट में ऑनेस्टली। तो आई हैड गॉन बैक टू प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर प्रीलिम्स, आई वाज गिविंग मॉक टेस्ट, आई वाज डूइंग व्हाट आई डिड फॉर प्रीलिम्स लास्ट ईयर एज वेल, आई वाज प्रैक्टिसिंग CSAT। सो मैं बिल्कुल श्योर नहीं थी टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन।
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, anyone else? Yeah, please give that lady. We can have few questions from backside also. Like, no?
गुड आफ्टरनून मैम। मैम बहुत हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं आपको एग्ज़ाम क्लियर करने के लिए।
धन्यवाद
मैम, जब आपने फर्स्ट अपना अटेम्प्ट दिया था तो उसमें आपका नहीं हुआ था, तो मैम आपका मोटिवेशन एंड डिमोटिवेशन कैसा था उस समय? क्योंकि उस समय अपना पूरा जोर लगा देता है आदमी कि फर्स्ट में क्लियर करना है। तो
क्यों करना है फर्स्ट में क्लियर? वैसे मैं आपसे पूछ रही हूँ जनरली।
नहीं मैम, अगर नहीं क्लियर हुआ तो मैम उस समय क्या मोटिवेशन और
नहीं,
डिमोटिवेशन?
मैं बस एक जनरल मेरी वो है क्यूरियोसिटी कि ऐसा फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में रोमांटिसाइज क्यों किया हुआ है इस एग्जाम को इतना?
मैम क्योंकि वो अच्छा लगता है ना कि अगर एज कम रहे और
अच्छा
एज कम रहे और जल्दी हो जाए।
ठीक है, अच्छा लगता है। ओके फाइन, आप क्वेश्चन पूछिए अपना।
मैम तो उसमें आपका क्या डिमोटिवेशन था या मोटिवेशन था कि?
जब मैं प्रीलिम्स 2023 देकर आई थी वापस घर और मैंने आंसर की वजह से टैली किया था, मुझे पता था मेरा प्रीलिम्स नहीं हो रहा है। तो 2 दिन तो बहुत बुरा लगा, बहुत ही रोना भी आया, सब कुछ हुआ, 2 दिन बहुत बुरा लगा। लेकिन तीसरे दिन मुझे पता चला, जब मैंने पेपर बैठ के अपना एनालाइज किया, मेरा स्टैटिक ही ढंग से पढ़ा हुआ नहीं था। मैंने बहुत आसान क्वेश्चन गलत करे हुए थे। मतलब चलो पेपर टफ था ही, वो तो सबको ही पता था 2023 का, लेकिन मैंने ऐसा क्वेश्चन गलत किया हुआ था कि विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग आर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडीज़। वो क्वेश्चन लक्ष्मीकांत के इंडेक्स से सॉल्व हो रहा था। तो देखो, पता है बुरा तब लगता है जब आप अपना 100% दे चुके होते हो और आपका नहीं होता एग्ज़ाम। मुझे पता था मैंने अपना 100% नहीं दिया है। अभी मेरे पास बहुत कुछ है करने के लिए। मैंने ना मेंस ठीक से प्रिपेयर किया हुआ है, ना मेरा ऑप्शनल प्रिपेयर्ड है। मैं अगर रोऊं भी तो किस वजह से रोऊं? मैंने कुछ करा ही नहीं था ऐसा रोने के लिए खास। तो आई थिंक मेरा मोटिवेशन यही था कि मुझे अब ढंग से पढ़ाई करनी है। मैं इस लेवल तक पहुंचूं जहां पर मैं बोल सकती हूँ कि मैंने 100% दे दिया और फिर मेरा एग्जाम नहीं हुआ है, तब डिमोटिवेशन डेफिनेटली आता। तो एक्चुअली में मुझे डिमोटिवेशन 2 दिन ही फील हुआ। तीसरे दिन मुझे पता चल गया कि अभी मेरा काम बाकी है, अभी मेरा काम पूरा नहीं हुआ है। मैंने अपनी तरफ से अपना 100% नहीं दिया है, मैंने ईमानदारी से भी पढ़ाई नहीं करी है। तो आई थिंक यही था मेरा।
And this is very important that you don't fall for these, narratives of ये attempt and वो attempt. What you focus upon is giving your 100%.
मतलब मेरा फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में नहीं हुआ, मैं 22 साल की थी। सेकंड में हो गया, अभी भी 24 की ही हूँ। कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा तो नहीं गया है मुझे लगता है मेरा टाइम, तो ठीक है।
Yes, here somebody had a question.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is, when I started preparation for UPSC, so I was more influenced by others. That why I want to do UPSC. So, but I don't think like right now I am stick to that why I should prepare for UPSC. So, what was your why, and was it more clear?
देखो, मेरा कोई कन्वेंशनल वाई नहीं था कि मेरे को एग्ज़ाम इसलिए करना है. मेरा एक बहुत सिंपल सा वो था कि मुझे एक बोरिंग जॉब नहीं करनी है, मुझे एक बोरिंग कॉर्पोरेट जॉब नहीं करनी है. मुझे नहीं लगता था कि मैं रोज़ 9 से 5 की जॉब कर सकती हूँ ऐसे जाकर ऑफिस में बैठकर. बस मुझे यूपीएससी इसलिए करना था. पहली बात तो ये कि मैंने बचपन से सिर्फ पढ़ाई करी है, मुझे पढ़ाई करना ही आता है. मैंने कोई स्पोर्ट्स नहीं खेले हैं, मेरी कोई एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर हॉबीज़ नहीं थी खास. तो मुझे लगा ठीक है, डिसेंट इनफ दिमाग है, ट्राई कर लेती हूँ, होगा तो हो जाएगा, नहीं होगा तो कोई बात नहीं. और इतना पता था कि कॉर्पोरेट जॉब नहीं करनी है, चैलेंजेस चाहिए लाइफ में, बोरिंग लाइफ नहीं चाहिए, कंप्लेसेंसी नहीं चाहिए जो मुझे लगता है कि कभी आपको नहीं मिलेगी इस जॉब में. तो आई थिंक मेरा वाई वो था. जब भी मैं सोचती थी कि क्यों मैं ये एग्ज़ाम कर रही हूँ, मैं बस ये मैं अपने आप को इमेजिन कर लेती थी कि मैं सुबह उठ के गुड़गांव के एक ऑफिस में काम कर रही हूँ, कितनी दुखी हूँ मैं अंदर से, सोल सकिंग जॉब में फंसी हुई हूँ. तो अगले दिन अपने आप पढ़ाई करने का मन कर रहा था मेरा फिर. तो आई थिंक मेरा वाई यही था मेनली. तो अगेन नो ऑफेंस टू पीपल हु डू कॉर्पोरेट जॉब्स.
Ma'am, actually, I was seeing on YouTube for Vijendra Chauhan sir. He is in DU University. He was also saying that this job is also not very exciting and interesting. It is also very boring, and I am a bit confused about it.
जॉब तो कोई भी बोरिंग हो ही सकती है. मुझे बस ये लगता है कि इस जॉब, मैं तो इसको जॉब भी नहीं बोलना चाहूँगी, इस सर्विस में लाइफ कैन गेट एज इंटरेस्टिंग एज यू वांट इट टू बी. जिसको काम करना है वो कहीं भी कर सकता है, और जिसको नहीं करना है उससे कोई नहीं करवा सकता है. तो आई थिंक इंटरेस्टिंग और बोरिंग का सबका कंसेप्शन अलग है, सबके प्रेफरेंसेस अलग होते हैं. मुझे लगता है कि हाँ, अगर मैं चाहूँ तो मेरी जॉब बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग हो सकती है, और मैं चाहूँ तो बहुत बोरिंग हो सकती है. बट कॉर्पोरेट से ज़्यादा ही इंटरेस्टिंग होनी चाहिए.
अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ बहुत है इसके.
अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ बहुत है. आप बहुत सारे फील्ड्स में अपने आप को चैनलाइज कर सकते हो. मन करे तो मैं पीएसयू की हेड भी बन सकती हूँ, मन करे तो मैं कुछ भी कर सकती हूँ. मतलब चैलेंजेस तो कभी ख़त्म नहीं होंगे ना इस जॉब में. आई फील लाइक.
एनी मोर क्वेश्चंस? या
हेलो, गुड आफ्टरनून मैम.
गुड आफ्टरनून.
मेरा एक सवाल है कि जैसे आपने मेंशन किया कि आप अपने घर में बैठ के पढ़ाई करते थे, तो मेरा एक सवाल है कि जैसा हम यहाँ दिल्ली में रहना थोड़ा मुश्किल है, तो मुझे घर जाना है, तो मैं कहीं कुछ लेट आउट ना हो जाए कि घर में बैठ के प्रिपरेशन कर रही.
प्लीज़ जाओ, प्लीज़ घर जाओ, आराम से पढ़ाई करो. मेरे को नहीं लगता कि दिल्ली में ही रह के यहाँ पे कोई इस एग्ज़ाम की प्रिपरेशन हो रही है. आप दिल्ली आए हो, अच्छी बात है, आपने लीप ऑफ फेथ लिया. बट अगर आपको नेचुरल नहीं लग रहा है दिल्ली में रहना, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि आप सस्टेनेबली नहीं रह पाओगे, तो आई वुड रियली सजेस्ट दैट प्लीज़ गो बैक टू योर होम. बिकॉज ऐसा नहीं है कि जो लोग दिल्ली से पढ़ रहे हैं, जो लोग दिल्ली से एग्ज़ाम लिख रहे हैं, उनका सिलेक्शन हो रहा है. आप रिजल्ट देखो किसी भी साल का, बहुत ही वेल डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड टॉपर्स रहते हैं हर साल. फ्रॉम एवरी रीजन ऑफ इंडिया यू विल फाइंड पीपल हु आर गेटिंग सेलेक्टेड इन टू दिस एग्जाम. सो आई रियली डोंट थिंक दैट दिल्ली में ही रह के पढ़ना इज अ प्री रिक्विजिट. इफ़ यू फील मोर एट होम फ्रॉम वेर एवर यू बिलोंग, आपका कंफर्ट वहाँ पर है, तो मैं रियली बोलूँगी कि आप प्लीज़ घर जाओ पढ़ने के लिए.
लाइक मैम, जो मॉक टेस्ट ये सब देता है, तो मेरा तो बहुत दूर है वहाँ पे, ऐसा मॉक टेस्ट देने को थोड़ा तकलीफ हो जाएगी सर.
आई अंडरस्टैंड वो प्रॉब्लम रहेगी, स्पेशली थोड़े जो पेरिफेरल एरियाज़ हैं इंडिया के वहाँ पर. बट आई थिंक अब एक बेनिफिट ये है कि ऑनलाइन भी काफ़ी पेनिट्रेशन हो गई है चीज़ों की. आई डोंट नो आपके एरिया में कितना अवेलेबल है वो चीज़, बट ऑनलाइन मॉक टेस्ट बहुत सारे आते हैं. जो भी आई थिंक जो भी टेस्ट ऑफलाइन अवेलेबल है वो ऑलमोस्ट सारे ही ऑनलाइन अवेलेबल रहते हैं. तो अगर आप उसके थ्रू एग्ज़ाम दे सकते हैं, टेस्ट दे सकते हैं, प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हैं तो करिए. अदरवाइज़ मैं कहूँगी अगर आप मॉक टेस्ट नहीं दे पा रहे हैं, PYQs करिए, प्रीवियस ईयर्स पेपर करिए, वो तो अवेलेबल है ही आपके पास. तो अगर आपने वो बहुत अच्छे से कर लिया तो आई फील लाइक आप बेटर प्रिपेयर्ड है फ्रॉम अ पर्सन जिसने ज़्यादा मॉक टेस्ट दिए हैं.
थैंक यू मैम.
यू वेलकम.
हेलो.
मेरा सवाल ये था कि कौन सी ऐसी 5 चीज़ें जिसने जिसने आपको सस्टेन रखा प्रिपरेशन के फर्स्ट डे से परसों तक, और जब ऐसा मतलब जिस दिन पढ़ाई का मन नहीं करता था कि मतलब आपको ऐसा फील होता था कि ये मेरे बस का है क्या, ये मैं कर पाऊँगी क्या, जो कर रही हूँ वो अच्छे डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है क्या, तब आपका इनर माइंड क्या कहता था?
बहुत अच्छा सवाल है आपका। जिस दिन ऐसा होता था कि जिस दिन मेरा पढ़ाई का मन नहीं कर रहा है बिल्कुल भी, मैं मूवी वगैरह देख लेती थी। मैं फिर उतना नहीं सोचती थी क्योंकि मुझे पता था कि मैं अपने स्टडी टेबल पे बैठी रहूँगी, टाइम वेस्ट करूँगी, कुछ पढ़ाई भी नहीं हो रही है, मैं बर्नआउट भी फील कर रही हूँ, तो बेटर है कि मैं टेस्ट मतलब कुछ मूवी देख लेती हूँ या कुछ पेंटिंग वगैरह कर लेती हूँ। 5 चीज़ें जो आपने बोली मैं आपको जनरल बताती हूँ। फर्स्ट, नॉन यूपीएससी दोस्त होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है आपकी लाइफ में, क्योंकि पीयर ग्रुप इम्पॉर्टेंट है डेफिनेटली, बट जो मेरे स्कूल और कॉलेज के दोस्त थे आई थिंक उन्होंने मुझे बहुत सेन रखा इस प्रिपरेशन में। मैं जब भी परेशान होती थी मैं उनको बोलती थी कि यार मैं क्या करूँ, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा। वो शायद मेरी प्रॉब्लम को पूरी तरह से समझ नहीं पाते थे कि क्यों तू परेशान हो रही है पॉलिटी को लेकर या वट एवर, बट दे न्यू वट टू से। दे ऑलवेज हेल्प्ड मी काम डाउन। वो मेरे काउंसलर्स बन जाते थे। तो आई थिंक नॉन यूपीएससी लोगों के साथ टच होना भी ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। ज़्यादा नहीं, अगेन 2-3 लोग जो आपको लगता है आपको हेल्प कर सकते हैं उनको रखिए अपनी लाइफ में अपने आसपास। आई थिंक वो हेल्प करते हैं। सेकेंड चीज़ इज़, अगेन ये मेरे साथ बहुत अच्छी हुई कि आई रियली फाउंड गुड पीपल, 1 or 2 people अराउंड मी इन दिस यूपीएससी cycle only who helped me like keep my peace, because I as a person I cry very easily. So whenever I used to cry I used to call them that मेरे से नहीं हो रहा है, मुझे एंजाइटी हो रही है, मुझे डर लग रहा है, पता नहीं मैं कर पाऊंगी नहीं कर पाऊंगी। उन्होंने मुझे हमेशा वो एक ही चीज़ बोलते थे कि यू डोंट हैव एनी रियल फेलियर्स इन योर लाइफ। आपके लाइफ में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, आप आराम से अपने घर में बैठे हो, अच्छी कंफर्टेबल एनवायरनमेंट में हो, आपके पेरेंट्स सपोर्टिव हैं, किस बात का डर लग रहा है। तो फिर आई थिंक मैं थोड़ी सी रिलैक्स हो जाती थी। तो आई एम फॉर्चुनेट आई फाउंड दोज पीपल। थर्ड थिंग इज़, अगेन ये मैं अपना प्रिविलेज कंसिडर करूँगी कि मेरे पेरेंट्स बहुत सपोर्टिव थे। दे वर मोर सपोर्टिव, दे वर मोर कॉन्फिडेंट देन मी दैट मेरा सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा। सो वेन एवर आई यूज टू फील स्ट्रेस्ड आई यूज टू टॉक टू माई पेरेंट्स, आई यूज टू प्ले विद माई ब्रदर, आई यूज टू प्ले विद माई ग्रैंडफादर। सो अगेन दैट हेल्प मी। फोर्थ थिंग वॉज, I think over a period of time, I developed a certain indifference towards this exam. I know it's very easy to say that, but I think if you're emotionally detached from the outcome of this exam, थोड़ा relaxed रहते हो आप। If आप बहुत ज़्यादा fixate करते हो result पर कि result कैसा होगा, कैसे आएगा, आप आज पढ़ नहीं पाओगे। तो मैं रिज़ल्ट के बारे में ज़्यादा सोचती नहीं थी, मैं उसके आउटकम से थोड़ा इमोशनली इंडिफरेंट रहने की कोशिश करती थी। ऑब्वियसली किसी दिन इट गेट्स टू यू बिकॉज इट्स अ रिजल्ट ओरिएंटेड एग्जाम एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, बट आई यूज टू ट्राई टू डेवलप दैट इंडिफरेंस टुवर्ड्स द रिजल्ट। आई थिंक फिफ्थ थिंग वुड बी फूड। जब भी मैं स्ट्रेस करती थी आई यूज टू ऑर्डर सम गुड फूड, और ये मैं एज अ रिवॉर्ड साइकिल भी यूज़ करती थी कि आज अच्छे से पढ़ाई करी, आज आई थिंक मैं पेस्ट्री खा सकती हूँ। तो आई थिंक फूड ऑल्सो हेल्प मी स्टे अ बिट सेन।
Yes, like you had a question, please.
Hello, ma'am. As of you told us, like you gave 15 mock interviews. What were the key difference you felt like in those 15 mock interviews and the real one? And what was the angle of pressure handling at those times in the 15 mock interviews and the real one?
As I said before also, जो मैंने 15 mocks दिए थे, I was put through very intense rounds of questioning, and I'm very happy that they put me through those intense rounds of questioning, because by the end of it I was so prepared for the worst. I knew most of the times how to handle a situation, how to get myself out of something which I think कि मैं फंस गई हूँ इसमें। तो वो मुझे उससे समझ आया 15 मॉक्स देकर, दैट हाउ टू गेट आउट ऑफ दो सिचुएशंस, एंड समटाइम्स यू स्टिल डोंट, तो दे टेल यू दैट इन द फीडबैक दैट ओके दिस इज वेर यू वेंट रॉन्ग, सो दैट ऑल्सो यू अंडरस्टैंड, you understand that how to, you have to think before you open your mouth. You cannot just say anything and try to get out of it. So it I think taught me patience, those 15 mocks. And my real mock was actually, as I said before, was very pleasant. It was so light, it was so conversational. The chairman was laughing, people were smiling. I don't know if that was deceptive or not, but it was so light. Like when I walked out of that room, I felt a certain sense of lightness because the environment around me was so light. So I think, yeah.
So I think that's it. Thank you all for coming. And at the end, I will really thank Ritika for such an insightful, honest, genuine, and effective toppers talk. And again, very congratulations to you. Can we have a round of applause?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
much. I really hope that I did not bore anyone. And मैं ज़्यादा preachy नहीं थी. I really tried to not be preachy. But I wish all of you all the best. And
like in the end, I would like you to share one thing that you take as the crux of this whole journey, the one learning. As I say, if this journey doesn't change you, you have not done it right. So what is that one learning?
That one learning would be this preparation never really ends. आप पढ़ रहे हो, एक दिन प्रीलिम्स आ जाएगा, आप उठ के प्रीलिम्स देने चले जाओगे. तो इतना मतलब मैं ये बोलूँगी कि उतना फ्रीक आउट मत करो अगर ऐसा लग रहा है कि पढ़ाई नहीं हो पा रही है, ये रिवीजन रह गया है, वो रिवीजन रह गया है, ये करना है प्रीलिम्स के पहले, मेंस के पहले, वो उसके पहले. कोई भी परफेक्ट नहीं है इस प्रिपरेशन में. कल तक मतलब परसों तक जिसकी AIR 1 भी आनी थी, मैम शक्ति दुबे मैम की, उनको भी शायद नहीं पता था कि उनकी आने वाली है. बिकॉज कभी भी आई थिंक दिस एग्जाम इज नॉट चेजिंग परफेक्शन, इट्स जस्ट चेजिंग discipline and consistency. As long as you are imperfect but consistently, you'll get through. So don't try to be perfect. Don't try ki whatever I'll do, I'll be the master of it. You're not in a PhD program. Just need to clear this exam and try to get out of it as soon as possible. Do that by hook or by crook, I don't know. But stop chasing perfection. Just try to be imperfect but every day.
Thank you, Ritika. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.